Chapter 798. The two low-level fiend demons at the front were caught off guard and could not dodge in time. They were crushed by Su Zimo and their bodies exploded into a bloody paste. The demons were shocked. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were shocked as well and retracted the contempt in their eyes with grim expressions. What was this man's true form? Even the two of them felt their hearts skip a beat in the face of such strength. Su Zimo led the charge at the front and defended against most of the attacks. Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching and Little Fox followed closely behind and fought against the many spirit demons that swarmed over. There was almost no existence among the spirit demons that could threaten Monkey and the other three. Even pure-blooded ferocious beasts could not do it. Die! A sinister voice sounded in Ching Ching's ears. A bald eagle swooped down at an extremely fast speed and descended on Ching Ching in the blink of an eye. It extended a pair of sharp claws that shone with a cold glint towards Ching Ching's head. Ching Ching was alarmed. The aura of the bald eagle was clearly that of a low-level fiend demon. Before the eagle's claws descended, Ching Ching already felt a stinging sensation on her scalp. Ching Ching did not dare to take it head-on and released all her cultivation. Circulating her inner core, she spun around rapidly in midair and dodged the bald eagle's fatal attack by a hair's breadth. Even so, it still managed to claw off a bunch of Ching Ching's feathers and a few drops of blood splattered. Roar! Linghu was anxious when he saw that and roared furiously. Leaping into the air, he wanted to pull the bald eagle down. The bald eagle had a disdainful expression and flapped its wings, vanishing from the spot. At the same time, another low-level fiend demon had already closed in and clashed head-on with Linghu. Linghu shrieked tragically and fell from midair, grimacing in pain. Monkey was entangled by a fiend demon as well and could not break free for the time being. He growled repeatedly and the scarlet glint in his eyes intensified. Although the four of them could be considered the strongest among the spirit demons, they were not strong enough. However, it was still difficult for them to win against fiend demons. Among them, Monkey, who was the strongest in combat, could not gain the upper hand against fiend demons before he went berserk. A low-level fiend demon glared at Linghu and frowned. Although Linghu fell to the ground in a wretched manner, he howled tragically and struggled to stand up once more. His strength was not enough to kill the Linghu on the spot. The spirit tiger grit its teeth and gasped. It felt as though its tendons and bones were about to break apart as its entire body ached and was secretly shocked. If he had not fused with those 4 tiger claws in the astral dragon, he would have been severely injured and his life would have been in danger. The little fox could rely on the bewitchment techniques of the fox race to charm spirit demons. However, it had no effect on fiend demons that had already cultivated essence spirits. Ching's Linghu. In the chaotic battle, Linghu. Alzas in midair, a huge palm suddenly stretched out, covering the sky and covering the sun. With a terrifying aura, it shrouded down from the sky. Bald Eagle stared at Ching Ching with a mocking look in his eyes. Just as he was about to launch another attack, his vision darkened. Linghu, the giant palm descended. Vulture wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Exclamation point! A blood mist spewed out. The gigantic hand grabbed Linghu and crushed him instantly. Su Zimo flicked away the remaining blood on his palm with a cold expression. Suddenly, he opened his mouth and let out a deafening roar. Roar! A massive air current gushed out. Green veins popped up on Su Zimo's neck like spirit snakes slithering on it in a menacing manner. Many ancient trees in the vicinity quaked. The slightly smaller branches were directly shattered by this roar. Leaves fell one after another and turned into dust in midair. Some of the spirit demons closest to Su Zimo froze on the spot with dazed gazes. Blood flowed from their noses and mouths as they collapsed one after another. Those spirit demons' eyes dimmed. They were already dead. Given Su Zimo's current cultivation, physique, and bloodline, none of those spirit demons could withstand the sound domain technique released. Even the fiend demons present shuddered. The 2 fiend demons that were fighting against Monkey and Linghu felt their minds go blank and they froze on the spot with dazed expressions. There was no way Monkey would let that opportunity slip by. He stood up and reached out, snapping the fiend demon's head. Ling Hu bit off the throat of the fiend demon opposite him as well and was invigorated. Don't linger on the fight. Let's kill our way out first. Su Zimo growled deeply and continued charging out with Monkey and the other three. They would only sink deeper if they got entangled here. Trying to leave? Stay here. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger's voices sounded and they had already attacked. A cold flash appeared. A gigantic flying disc tore through the air, almost slicing the void into two. Instantly, it arrived before Su Zimo with a terrifying aura. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. He could sense the aura of dermic powers from the flying disc. It was a fiend demon dermic weapon. Although his physique was strong and could even destroy spirit weapons, he could not defend against the sharpness of dermic weapons. In the world of demons, dermic weapons were extremely precious. That was because demons did not know how to refine weapons. The magical artifacts they controlled were either looted from cultivators they had slain, or the bones, claws, teeth, or other body parts left behind by powerful fiendish demons. In reality, the flying disc before him was a scale from a high-level fiend demon. It was picked up by Intermediate Tiger by accident and was refined into his Destiny dermic weapon. The dermic weapon could be used for both offense and defense. It was abnormally tough with sharp edges and could defend against damage. It could also be thrown out to deal immense damage. The sound of a sharp blade tearing through the air could be heard. The soaring leopard attacked and another cold flash of light appeared. Su Zimo took a closer look. The cold flash was a short sword with 3 intricate patterns etched on it. It was clearly created by a human weapon refinement master. It was a superior-grade perfected Lord dermic weapon. He did not know where the soaring leopard obtained it from, but this dermic weapon was extremely rare for him. Both of them were in the position of protectors and there was no need to elaborate on their methods. They had rich combat experience as well. Both of them could tell that Su Zimo had a frightening physique and extraordinary bloodline. His melee combat strength was extremely strong, and even if the two of them joined forces, they might not be able to defeat him. Both of them merely exchanged glances before summoning their Destiny dermic weapons at the same time and releasing a ferocious wave of attacks. The remaining fiend demons recovered from the shock of Su Zimo's sound domain technique and charged forward once more. The 2 dermic weapons arrived instantly. Su Zimo seemed to have given up and stood motionlessly on the spot, as though he knew that he could not dodge them. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger gripped their fists gently and their eyes lit up. Immediately after, the excitement in their eyes vanished gradually when they saw something else. It was replaced with confusion, shock and disbelief. The demonic chi around Su Zimo was rumbling and getting thicker. Demonic chi rumbled around his body and rapidly condensed into lifelike demons with menacing claws and fangs, gradually materializing. The aura of time flowed on the bodies of those demons, as though they came from the primordial era. Instantly, the winds howled and the world quaked. The entire forest was silent. All the demon beasts present, be it spirit demons or fiend demons, were silent and did not even dare to breathe heavily when they were swept by the intimidating gazes of the 7 ancient demons. Chapter 799. Before the scaled dermic weapon and short sword could reach Su Zimo, they had already slowed down. After the arrival of the 7 ancient demon kings, the 2 demonic dermic weapons came to a complete standstill and quivered in midair, as though they were under immense pressure. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were shocked. Both of them could clearly sense that their control over their Destiny dermic weapons was weakening gradually. Roar! The sanguine ape and hell tiger roared at the same time and opened their mouths. Demonic chi surged and they devoured the 2 dermic weapons. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger grunted dully and their faces turned paler. They had lost their sense of the 2 dermic weapons. Those 2 dermic weapons were their Destiny dermic weapons and they had been tempered with their essence spirits for hundreds of years after they turned into fiend demons. Even if their dermic weapons were lost, they would be able to sense them from thousands of kilometers away. Unless someone could erase the spirit consciousnesses they cultivated on their Destiny dermic weapons. However, how was that possible? They had refined those two destiny dermic weapons for hundreds of years. Even for someone of the same cultivation realm, it would take hundreds of years for them to erase the spirit consciousness imprints they cultivated on their destiny dermic weapons for their own use. That was one of the benefits of having a destiny dermic weapon. It was not easy to lose them. Even if they managed to snatch someone else's destiny dermic weapon, they would have to spend a long period of time to erase the spirit consciousness imprints on it. The losses outweighed the gains, and they did not have the energy to do so. If the other party escaped, the destiny dermic weapon would be a huge problem. There was an extremely mysterious connection between destiny dermic weapons and cultivators. If one carried an opponent's destiny dermic weapon with them, it would be equivalent to exposing one's location. One would not know when their opponent would come knocking on their door once more. If the other party brought along a strong helper, the destiny dermic weapon would bring about a fatal disaster for the other party. Of course, if one's cultivation was far superior to the other party, they could naturally erase the spirit consciousness imprint on the destiny dermic weapon with their supreme dermic powers. For example, if a mid-level fiend demon like the Howling Moon Territorial Lord were to make a move, he might be able to erase the spirit consciousness imprints of the Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger on their destiny dermic weapons within 6 to 4 hours. However, that was the strange thing. The person before the Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger was not a mid-level fiend demon. More accurately, this person could not even be considered a fiendish demon. Although this person's body was humongous and filled with demonic chi, there was a clear inner core circulating within his chest. This person was obviously a spirit demon. How could a spirit demon erase the spiritual consciousness imprints on their destiny dermic weapons? At this moment, the two ancient demon kings that had just swallowed the scale and the short sword opened their mouths at the same time and spat out the two magic tools. Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger were overjoyed. I don't know what kind of tricks this kid has up his sleeves to be able to casually bring out a few beasts. These beasts are only strong on the outside but weak on the inside. They finally tasted pain and spat out their own magic tools. The power of a dermic artifact is not something a mere spirit demon can challenge. The two of them sneered inwardly as a thought flashed through their minds. They were about to use their spiritual sense to retrieve their natal magic artifacts. Their gazes subconsciously fell on the two Dharma artifacts and instantly froze. The joy in their eyes had long since disappeared. What replaced it was endless shock. The demonic chi dissipated and the two dermic weapons were revealed once more. However, they were riddled with holes and dimmed. It was no longer important whether the spiritual consciousness imprints were still around. That was because the two dermic weapons were crippled in the blink of an eye and were extremely damaged. This was not strange, it was horrifying. The two of them did not know that in their eyes, these random beasts were bloodline phenomenons created by Su Zimo's cultivation of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness. Although the two of them were low-level fiend demons, they had never heard of bloodline phenomenons before. Less than that, they did not know how terrifying the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness was. What was the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness? It was a supreme demon classic that encompassed yin and yang, seized creation, reversed the universe and twisted the flow of qi. There was only one of it in this world. It was because of this cultivation technique left behind by Dai Yu that Su Zimo was able to get to where he was today. That was the reason why he was able to kill the Rakshasa and leader of the Protoss in Myriad Phenomenon City despite the fact that his spirit energy was depleted and he was able to turn the tides. It was truly wishful thinking for two low-level fiend demons to think that they could injure Su Zimo with their low-graded dermic weapons. Kill? Su Zimo hollered with a cold expression. The 7 ancient demon kings around him roared and charged in all directions, bringing with them a powerful destructive force as they slaughtered their way into the crowd. For the 30-odd low-level fiend demons in the vicinity, the 7 ancient demon kings were a calamity. Some of the fiend demons were indignant and wanted to fight against the incoming anacondas. However, they were coiled by the anacondas rapidly and their organs were crushed. When the Soaring Leopard and Intermediate Tiger saw that, fear flashed through the depths of their eyes and they wanted to retreat. All of a sudden, Both of them felt their scalps prickle and their hairs stand on end. Su Zimo had already locked onto them. A powerful killing intent engulfed them and they felt chills run down their spines. As though he could read their thoughts, Su Zimo remarked coldly, "Since you guys came knocking on my door, don't even think about escaping." Sush. Before his sentence was completed, a malevolent aura surged towards them. In a flash, Su Zimo had already closed in. "Erg." Su Zimo exhaled and his voice boomed like thunder. Both of them were shocked. The soaring leopard and intermediate tiger were protectors of Howling Moon Mountain after all. A ruthless determination flashed through their eyes and they did not turn to escape. Instead, they chose to join forces to fight. If the two of them were to escape at that moment, they would definitely die. Both of them had already reverted to their true forms. Their gazes were ferocious and a ball of light shone brighter and brighter in their widened mouths. That ball of light emitted a powerful energy fluctuation. Demonic arts. After becoming fiend demons, demons would awaken their inherited memories. Extremely few fiend demons would possess secret skills that utilized dermic powers in their inherited memories. All of those secret skills were known as demonic arts by cultivators. To put it simply, demonic arts were dermic arts that fiend demons possessed. All of a sudden, a blood-colored butterfly appeared behind Su Zimo. There was a pair of round moons tattooed on the wings of the blood-colored butterfly. It was like a pair of eyes that glared coldly at the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger. The dermic powers in the mouths of the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger showed signs of dissipating when they were glared at by the pair of eyes. Immediately after, the wings of the blood butterfly flapped gently. Bang, bang. There were two dull thuds. The lights in the mouths of the soaring leopard and intermediate tiger exploded instantly. The two protectors shrieked tragically and their mouths were blasted into a bloody mess with fresh blood flowing. Su Zimo reached out and slapped the heads of the two protectors viciously. Snap. The sound of bones cracking could be heard. The two protectors shuddered and their gazes widened before dimming. When this palm smashed down, it shattered the two great protectors' primordial spirits. With the death of the two protectors, the demon army that arrived this time round began to crumble as well. A gigantic gap appeared in the encirclement that was initially formed. Monkey and the others were invigorated and were raring to give chase. However, they were stopped by Su Zimo. "Let's leave this place first. Don't linger on the battle." Su Zimo had a calm expression and his body returned to normal as he charged out of the encirclement with Monkey and the other three, escaping into the distance. Chapter 800. Danger lurked everywhere in the forest. The blood stench of this place would definitely attract even more powerful demon beasts. Tangling with the remaining demon beasts would only place them in danger. Right now, they were only spirit demons. They were nothing in the 8 demon regions and were at the bottom of the food chain of the demon race. Even though Su Zimo had many trump cards and was strong in combat, he could not defeat mid-level fiend demons. Furthermore, he had to conceal the methods of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects as much as possible in the demon region. If his identity as a cultivator was exposed, the entire 1,000 Demon Valley would not be able to tolerate him, let alone Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo led Monkey and the others out of the encirclement. After determining the direction, they continued sprinting towards the east at full speed in search of their next shelter. At daybreak, Su Zimo had already shaken off the many spirit demons that were tailing them and found another hidden cave. Su Zimo checked the vicinity carefully and entered only after confirming that there were no spirit demons watching. The cave was connected from the front to the back. Su Zimo circled the cave and nodded to himself. He decided to hide here for the time being and prepare for his breakthrough. Right now, the most important thing for them was to break through their core formation and cultivate their essence spirits as soon as possible. Once this realm was crossed, for the 5 of them, their battle prowess would experience a qualitative leap. Each of them had treasures that they obtained from the ancient battlefield and were only waiting to refine them after they became fiend demons. Take a rest first and adjust your states. Don't be impatient. When Su Zimo saw the fatigue in Monkey and the other three's eyes, He reminded them before turning to leave. He began to set up formations at the front and back of the cave. About 6 hours later, just as the formations at the entrance of the cave were set up, Su Zimo sensed that something was amiss. Spirit demons were starting to appear in the vicinity. Furthermore, their numbers were increasing. Su Zimo realized that the spirit demons were here for them. They were exposed again. How could this be? Su Zimo stood in the cave with a dark gaze. Through the formation, he glared at the pairs of beast eyes that were faintly discernible in the depths of the forest far away. The previous time, it was the two protectors of Howling Moon Mountain who came. Who would it be this time? Su Zimo pondered for a moment before turning around to wake up Monkey and the other three who were recuperating. He said in a deep voice, "If I'm not wrong, the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain have already discovered this place. Then let's go kill them again." Ling Hu waved his fist, full of confidence. But this time, even the arrogant monkey didn't make a sound. Su Zimo said, "The demon beasts that Howling Moon Mountain sends out will only get stronger and stronger. This time, I won't be surprised even if the Howling Moon Tribal Lord personally shows up." "What should we do?" The little fox looked worried. "Let's leave this place and keep going," Su Zimo said. "All right." Monkey and the rest nodded and followed Su Zimo out of the cave at the back and continued forward. Along the way, the 5 of them walked with trepidation. The Myriad Demon Valley was indeed one of the 8 major demon regions. During this period of time, they encountered 3 mid-level fiend demons. Thankfully, Su Zimo's spirit perception alerted them and they managed to avoid them early on without any mishaps. A flying beast flew over their heads and even Su Zimo felt his heart skip a beat when it emitted an aura. The aura of the flying beast was similar to the old immortal crane and it was most likely not a mid-level fiend demon. There was a high chance that it was a high-level fiend demon and an overlord. Naturally, there was no way the 5 of them could hide their tracks from the flying beast. However, the flying beast merely glanced at the 5 of them indifferently. It was as though the 5 of them were too weak and the flying beast was not interested in them at all as it flew past them without stopping. They could experience something like that at any moment. In other words, if the 5 of them were to roam freely in the demon region, they would have to face the danger of being devoured by demon beasts that were even stronger. Before long, Su Zimo found an excellent hiding spot once more. There was a cave hidden behind a waterfall that was extremely spacious. Although there were rumbling sounds of water flowing, it could be resolved easily as long as they set up a soundproof formation at the entrance of the cave. Su Zimo was slightly relieved when he entered with Monkey and the other 3. Another 4 hours passed and Su Zimo was only halfway through setting up the formation at the entrance of the cave. Frowning slightly, his ears twitched as he listened intently. A moment later, Su Zimo stood up with a cold glint in his eyes. They were discovered again. There were already demons chasing them here. Su Zimo pondered repeatedly and recalled carefully. He was certain that they were not followed along the way. There were no spirit demons in the vicinity that caught sight of him either. However, why were they exposed time and time again? What went wrong? Monkey, Ling Hu, Ching Ching and Little Fox had deep fatigue written all over their faces. Ever since they left the ancient battlefield, they had not slept a wink and were exhausted from running. If this continued, Monkey and the other 3 would not be able to endure it even if he could hold on. Su Zimo furrowed his brows and his expression was dark. They had nowhere to hide. They were in a predicament the moment they entered Thousand Demon Valley and the situation was even more severe than he had initially imagined. Were they really going to fight with their backs against the wall? Suddenly, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he turned around and glared at the ground not far away. His muscles were tense and he was ready to strike at any moment. Monkey and the others could not sense it yet. However, he could vaguely sense a tremor coming from the depths of the ground. Someone was here. Something was not right. Su Zimo focused his senses and a strange look flashed through his eyes. Before long, a mound protruded from the ground not far away. Soon, the mound broke open and a sneaky head popped out. It had shifty eyes, and its small eyes looked around in a very wretched manner. The pair of beady eyes shifted to Su Zimo and suddenly froze. Their gazes met. "It's really you." Su Zimo gave a fake smile. The one that popped out of the ground was the gigantic rat that brought them out of the ancient battlefield. The moment Su Zimo's group of 5 arrived, they got into a conflict with the 3 fiend demons. Initially, the rat was on the side of the 3 fiend demons. However, when the battle broke out and it realized that things were not going well, it ran off somewhere. To think that it would take the initiative to come knocking. "Brother, I'm sorry." The rat's body was half buried in the ground as it said with an embarrassed expression, "I didn't expect something like this to happen when I brought you guys to Howling Moon Mountain." Monkey and the others woke up as well. Ling Hu recalled the rat's expression when it was on the side of the 3 fiend demons and could not help but scoff coldly. "Are you courting death by coming knocking on our door?" "No, no, no." The rat was shocked and fell halfway into the hole, leaving only half its head outside as though it was ready to escape at any moment. It chuckled bitterly. The situation was dire and I had no choice. Ling Hu was about to mock it when Su Zimo waved it off and asked indifferently, "What are you doing here? How did you find this place?" Cough. The rat coughed gently. "Actually, your tracks have already been exposed." "Of course." Ling Hu pouted his lips. "Even a fool would know that you're exposed now that you're here." "Brother Batian, do you know how you guys were exposed?" The rat asked. Su Zimo's eyes flashed as he looked at the rat silently, waiting for its answer. Chapter 801. There are 2 territorial lords in Howling Moon Mountain, the rat said. "The reason why your tracks were exposed is because of the deputy territorial lord, Lord Chanrui." "Chanrui?" Su Zimo murmured softly and seemed to have recalled something as a look of realization flashed through his eyes. The rat continued, "Lord Chanrui's true form is an ancient remnant beast, the mystic jade cicada. She rules over the cicada race within a radius of thousands of kilometers around Howling Moon Mountain. The 5 of you are a huge target and easy to identify. As long as you travel through the forest, your tracks will be exposed as long as there are cicadas chirping." Ling Hu and the others were dumbfounded. Even though he and Monkey had stayed in the Wild Lion Ridge for a period of time, they had never heard of such methods. How many cicadas were there in this forest? There were probably too many to count. This was equivalent to their every move being exposed to the enemy. Those ordinary cicadas can't be considered as spirit demons. However, as long as they gain sentience, they will understand the unique communication method of the cicada race and will be able to send your tracks to Lord Chanrui before long. Su Zimo nodded to himself. There was no mistake. Previously, when they were hiding in the first cave, Su Zimo had a strange feeling when he heard the chirping of cicadas and frogs outside the cave. He had a nagging feeling that something was amiss, as though they were being monitored, but he could not find the source. Now, he finally knew what the problem was. "What should we do?" Little Fox was worried. According to the rat, they were being monitored the entire time. No matter where they hid, they would be discovered and would have nowhere to stay in the future. After all, cicadas were everywhere in this forest. "The best solution is to leave the vicinity of Howling Moon Mountain temporarily," Su Zimo said deeply. "Once we break through to form our cores and cultivate essence spirits, we'll be able to retract our auras and change our appearances. Even if we return here, those cicadas won't be able to recognize us." "Brother, you're smart." "You're right," the rat praised hurriedly. Ching Ching frowned. "However, we don't know much about Howling Moon Mountain. If we head there without a direction, we'll be caught up by that Chanrui before we even leave Howling Moon Mountain." Su Zimo did not answer. He turned his eyes and looked at Rat with a faint smile. Ling Hu's heart skipped a beat. His eyes glinted fiercely as he threatened, "Howsy, take us out of here. Otherwise..." Rat sweated profusely and hurriedly said, "Brother Batin, don't worry. I'm here to give you a map of the Howling Moon Mountain." As he spoke, Rat threw out a map made of animal skin. However, the rat did not come out. Half of its body was still hidden in the hole, as if it was afraid that Ling Hu would catch it and was ready to escape at any time. Su Zimo picked up the map and glanced at it. In addition to the topography of Howling Moon Mountain, there was also some information about the territories near Howling Moon Mountain. This was too important to them. With this map, they could choose the closest way to leave Howling Moon Mountain. Previously, they had been running towards the east. If they were to continue moving towards the east, they might not be able to get out even after 10 days or half a month. However, after comparing the two, if they changed their direction and turned south, they would be able to escape Howling Moon Mountain in 1 or 2 days. Howzy, this map can't be fake, right? Linghu glanced askance at Rat and asked, "Why are you so kind-hearted as to come all the way here to help us?" When Linghu asked that question, Su Zimo's eyes were fixed on Rat as well. Linghu's worries were not without reason. Rat rubbed his palms and said with an embarrassed expression, "I was the one who brought you guys back. I feel bad about everything that happened later on. Now that I'm giving you guys this map, we don't owe each other anything." Su Zimo was relieved. There was no panic in Rat's eyes and he did not seem like he was lying. "Since that's the case, let's move out right now." Su Zimo could sense that the number of spirit demons in the vicinity was increasing. If they continued waiting, they might not be able to escape once Chanrui arrived with the fiend demons. Before leaving, Su Zimo turned around and looked at Rat. "You won't be implicated by giving us the map?" "It's fine," Rat waved it off. "I found this place with my own capabilities as well. As long as you guys don't say anything, no one will know that I gave you guys the map. Farewell, see you." Su Zimo led Monkey and the others out of the waterfall and sped into the distance. "It's best if we don't meet again." Rat watched as Su Zimo and the others left before murmuring and burrowing into the cave, vanishing in the blink of an eye. 3 days later, Black Sand Ridge was adjacent to Howling Moon Mountain and was also a territory. The territorial lord was called the Black Sand Monster and his true form was unknown. He was terrifyingly strong and bloodthirsty. His territory was much larger than Howling Moon Mountain. At that moment, Su Zimo's group of 5 found a secluded cave at the border between Black Sand Ridge and Howling Moon Mountain and settled down temporarily. After leaving the territory of Howling Moon Mountain, they had already escaped the pursuit of the cicada race. Near the entrance of the cave, Su Zimo set up many formations meticulously just in case. Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching and Little Fox were cultivating inside and their conditions were gradually stabilizing. They were in a good state and could break through to the nascent soul realm at any moment. Su Zimo guarded the entrance of the cave motionlessly, trying his best to suppress the restless inner core in his chest and the quivering Jin Dan in his abdomen. Suddenly, Su Zimo opened his eyes and turned back, sensing something. The first to break through was Monkey. Monkey's aura was already transforming. A faint might enveloped him. That was the power of heaven and earth. Although it was only a single wisp, it was frightening enough. Monkey's flesh exploded and his fur fell off. However, right after, new pieces of flesh grew and his body became even taller and stronger. The process of rebirth was extremely painful. Even the monkey's body was trembling. However, he did not make a single sound with a prideful expression. Under the influence of that aura, Linghu's body began to transform as well. Roar! Suddenly, Linghu roared and reverted to his true form. A series of crackling sounds could be heard from his body as his body expanded along with his flesh. After Linghu, Ching Ching broke through as well. This breakthrough activated the Bai Feng bloodline in Ching Ching's body and her body burned with a faint green flame as her aura rose continuously. Little Fox was the last to break through. She was different from Monkey, Linghu and Ching Ching. Little Fox's movements were the smallest and she was surrounded by a pink mist that rose with a faint fragrance that bewitched one's mind. Su Zimo watched intently with a nervous expression. Breaking through from the core formation and cultivating an essence spirit was equivalent to connecting with heaven and earth and ascending to the heavens in a single step. This was a heaven-defying action and was the most dangerous. Since ancient times, whether it was the Demon Clan or the Cultivator Clan, countless people had died at this stage. If one failed to break through from the Foundation Establishment realm to the Jin Dan, their spirit meridians would be severed and their spirit energy would dissipate. There was still a chance for them to become mortals. However, if one failed to break through from the core formation to the nascent soul realm, they would die. An unknown period of time passed. The auras of Monkey, Linghu, Ching Ching and Little Fox had gradually stabilized and their furrowed brows relaxed as well. The four of them exuded a strong life force. Su Zimo knew that Monkey and the other three had already turned into fiend demons. Next, it was up to him. Chapter 802. 3 days later, Monkey and the other three had already stabilized their cultivation realms and awakened. Through the essence spirits in their consciousnesses, they sensed the heaven and earth and their eyes were filled with joy and surprise. After cultivating their essence spirits, they had reached the realm of Enidia and could cultivate by absorbing the essence of the sun and moon. This was equivalent to making use of the heaven and earth's powers to refine their bodies, tendons and bones while refining their essence spirits. It was a level higher than consuming flesh. Any demon beast of a powerful race that could cultivate to this point would awaken the legacy memories in their bloodlines. Their legacy memories might contain many cultivation techniques for spirit refinement or some demonic secret skills. The stronger the bloodline, the better the legacy memories. For example, ancient remnant beasts and pure-blooded ferocious beasts would have their own unique legacy memories. Although Monkey was already awake, he narrowed his eyes, as though he was trying to comprehend something. Although the origin of his bloodline was unknown, it was definitely not ordinary. His blood-red eyes alone were enough to prove this point. Ling Hu was the most ordinary demon beast to begin with and would not have any legacy memories. Even when he cultivated the Void Thunder Manual later on, the only thing he did was to change his bloodline and improve his physique. However, Ling Hu's current state was clearly in the process of receiving some sort of legacy. The legacy came from the 4 tiger claws in the astral dragon sputum lair. The 4 tiger claws had already fused into Ling Hu's body and naturally inherited the memories within. Ching Ching had the bloodline of the Bai Fong flowing through her body and naturally had legacy memories. Little Fox also had many secret skills of the fox race. After becoming fiend demons, Monkey and the other three needed a lot of time to digest. Not only did they have to comprehend the legacy memories, they also had to use their essence spirits to comprehend the heaven and earth. They could refine the weapons they obtained from the astral dragon sputum lair as well. First, go and cultivate. We'll stand guard here. Monkey came to Su Zimo's side and said, "All right." Su Zimo did not decline and entered the depths of the cave. He assumed a lotus position and closed his eyes, gathering his chi calmly. Unknowingly, a strange feeling flashed through his heart. Although his eyes were closed, he seemed to be able to see every single corner of his body, including his organs, meridians, and orifices. It was a mysterious feeling. It was like the legendary inner vision. Su Zimo saw 2 slowly revolving large pills. There was a crimson blood pill in front of his chest. There was a dazzling Jin Dan in his lower abdomen. The auras of the 2 pills were completely different. At this time, the energy of the 2 great pills had already reached the limit. They emitted waves of restlessness as if they wanted to leave the pill room and soar into the skies. Su Zimo felt an incomparably vast power of heaven and earth. He had never felt so close to heaven and earth. It was as if he could feel the breathing of the world, the pulse of the world. In the next moment, Su Zimo saw the layer of void. The so-called void was a layer of shackles that the heavens and the earth bound the cultivators. Cultivation was to go against the will of the heavens. Constantly breaking through realms and increasing one's lifespan was to break free from the shackles that the heavens and earth had placed on one's body. There was a saying in the ancient cultivation world, "Break through the void and you can see God." Breaking through the void was, in fact, breaking free from the shackles in the body. As for how to break through and how to break free, it all depended on the 2 great cores in his body. Su Zimo no longer suppressed them. The inner core turned into a blood beam while the Jin Dan turned into a golden beam of light. At the same time, they left the pill room and charged towards the layer of void within his body. Bang! Bang! The inner core and Jin Dan collided with the void and let out 2 deafening sounds. Su Zimo's body shuddered. The void also trembled a little, but nothing out of the ordinary happened. The inner core and Jin Dan fell and paused in midair for a moment before charging upwards once more. Bang! 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 The two great cores collided with the void repeatedly and let out a deafening bang. The void trembled and finally, ripples appeared. Ordinary perfected Gene Dan could only rely on a single Gene Dan in their bodies to break through the void and break free from their shackles. However, Su Zimo had two right now. Not only that, his inner core was formed from cultivating the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and possessed terrifying power. The essence of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects was contained within the Gene Dan as well. It could be said that in front of these two supreme pills, there was no void, no shackles that could stop the impact of this powerful force. That was the reason why it was relatively easier for paragons to break through to the nascent soul realm. For a perfected being that could be considered as a paragon, the strength of the Gene Dan was definitely stronger than others. The stronger the Gene Dan was, the easier it would be to break through the void. Before long, cracks appeared on the layer of void under the impact of the inner core and Gene Dan. It was about to shatter. Everything was going smoothly. However, Su Zimo's expression turned increasingly grim. For other cultivators, the danger of breaking through to the nascent soul realm was perhaps above breaking through the void. That was because if they could not break through the void, it would mean that the breakthrough had failed and the Gene Dan would shatter within their bodies and they would die. However, Su Zimo's situation was different from others. His danger might come after he broke through the void. Su Zimo did not dare to be distracted and focused on breaking through the void barrier. Bang, bang, bang. Finally, there was a deafening sound after the continuous impact. The void shattered. Instantly, Su Zimo felt his body lighten, as though an invisible shackle had been broken. Su Zimo's glabella shone with a bright light. His heaven and earth were connected and his Niwen palace appeared. Within his Niwen palace, Su Zimo caught sight of an illusory ball of light. That ball of light was his soul. If he had not broken through the void, he would not have been able to see the existence of his soul. His inner core and golden core rushed into his Niwen palace. In an instant, the room was filled with multicolored light. His entire body was white, and the palace in the depths of his glabella was clearly illuminated. Next, it was time to condense his essence spirit. The soul was originally void. Once the Gene Dan was fused into the soul, it would form a corporeal object in the shape of an infant. That was the essence spirit. Su Zimo withdrew a spirit-gathering fruit from his storage bag and swallowed it. The spirit-gathering fruit melted in his mouth and a ball of essence chi surged into his mind. Propelled by the ball of essence chi, the inner core and Gene Dan lunged toward Su Zimo's soul at the same time. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and he sensed danger. Of the other cultivators, only the Gene Dan was able to fuse with their souls without any issues. However, he did not only have the Gene Dan in his body, he had the inner core as well. In other words, if the Gene Dan and inner core were fighting for his soul at the same time, the outcome might be, before he could finish his thought, he felt a tearing pain in his soul. Suddenly, Su Zimo cried out in pain and fell backwards. His body trembled uncontrollably and his face was pale as he curled up. Monkey and the other three were initially refining their weapons at the entrance of the cave. When they heard the commotion, they were shocked. "Young master!" Little Fox exclaimed with an anxious expression and ran towards Su Zimo. "Don't go!" Monkey stopped her and said with a solemn expression, "At this moment, any interference from the outside world might consign him to eternal damnation." Chapter 803. Monkey was right. At this moment, nobody could help Su Zimo. His crisis came from within himself. Or rather, it came from his choice. If he gave up on the inner core that he had painstakingly cultivated over the years, the Gene Dan could fuse with his soul and form an essence spirit successfully. However, he was indignant. That was a cultivation technique imparted to him by Dai Yu. It was also the greatest reliance that he had to reach this stage. The inner core contained a special emotion of Su Zimo. Therefore, even if the world was slandered and he had to bear the infamy of being a foreign race, he had never wavered in the slightest to give up on the inner core. If he gave up on the Gene Dan, he could fuse his inner core with his soul and form an essence spirit successfully as well. However, that would mean that Su Zimo would be reduced to a demon completely. He was indignant as well. Under this type of situation, his soul was currently being torn apart by two exceptional great pills. It was extremely dangerous and could shatter at any moment. Su Zimo could not be bothered anymore. He withdrew the spirit-gathering fruits from his storage bag and stuffed them all into his mouth. For cultivators, only 1 or 2 spirit-gathering fruits were required to condense an essence spirit. Even if there were more, there wouldn't be much of an effect. However, at that moment, Su Zimo could not be bothered anymore. He took out all the spirit-gathering fruits from his storage bag and swallowed them one by one. He knew that everything would be over if he could not get through this. The spirit-gathering fruits turned into streams of essence chi and surged into his spirit platform. The fight for the inner core and Jin Dan turned even more intense. The illusory ball of light in the spirit platform was gradually torn into two by the two powers. The pain penetrated deep into his soul and Su Zimo almost fainted. With his soul shattered, the life force in his body was depleting rapidly as well. Without any of the 3 souls and 7 spirits, there would be huge problems with one's body. Furthermore, his soul was being torn into 2. Su Zimo's consciousness gradually sank into an endless dark abyss and sank continuously. Right then, a beam of light lit up in the dark abyss. It was a flower that burned with flames. It was the Soraka flower that Dai Yu left for him. Asoka flowers grew on Asoka trees. The carefree tree was one of the 3 great sacred trees of Buddhism. According to legend, Buddha was born under the carefree tree. This Soraka flower contained boundless vitality. Back then, it had restored Su Zimo's Jin Dan to its original state. Now that his life was hanging by a thread, the Soraka flower had reappeared. This Asoka flower supported his soul and allowed it to rise continuously, breaking free of the dark abyss. The Asoka flower was burning and its petals were withering. At the same time it burned, it also emitted a rich vitality that repaired the 2 shattered souls. After who knows how long, the Soraka flower was completely burned away. The vast vitality within it restored the 2 incomplete souls to their perfect state. Although his soul was split into 2, it was reconstructed into 2 complete souls by the life force of the Soraka flower. The Naiden and Jin Dan fused into it. The 2 balls of light gradually solidified. Within the spirit platform, resplendent light filled the skies and 2 infants sat in a lotus position. Their facial features were gradually revealed and shone with brilliance. Their appearances were identical to Su Zimo's. The state of an infant was the closest to heaven and earth. Therefore, even though the fetus was in the mother's womb and could not breathe in a completely sealed space, it could still ensure the continuation of its life. Upon entering nascent soul, there was a state of returning to simplicity. The 2 nascent souls sat on their respective sides. If one focused their attention, they would be able to tell the differences between the 2 nascent souls. The nascent soul on the left had scarlet hair that was as red as blood. Its facial features were firm and it exuded a sinister demonic aura. Although it was in the form of an infant, it exuded a faint might from its eyes. As for the nascent soul on the right, it had a head of black hair and looked much more scholarly. Its aura was rather unique as well. It possessed immortal chi, fiendish nature and Buddhist light. It was difficult to describe. The nascent soul on the left was formed from the Naiden. The nascent soul on the right was formed from Jin Dan. It was done. Although the Soraka flower had already dissipated, Su Zimo had successfully cultivated to the nascent soul realm. Furthermore, there were 2 nascent souls in his spirit platform. With the scarlet-haired nascent soul as the core, it controlled the spirit platform and guarded the Naiwan palace. Suddenly, Su Zimo's aura changed and his initially black hair turned blood red. It was extremely sinister, as though fresh blood had been injected into it. Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. Suddenly, tiny scales appeared on the scarlet-haired nascent soul and covered its entire body rapidly. Horns protruded from its head and the aura it exuded turned extremely frightening. At the same time, Su Zimo's body underwent the same transformation. Dragonification only required a single thought from Su Zimo. Thereafter, the The scarlet-haired nascent soul retreated to a corner while the black-haired nascent soul assumed a lotus position in the middle of the spirit platform. In the cave, Su Zimo's scarlet hair gradually recovered. Just now, the demonic and sinister aura on his body vanished without a trace and he looked otherworldly. Monkey and the other three surrounded Su Zimo in a dumbfounded manner. This kind of method was too shocking. After entering the nascent soul realm, Su Zimo could change his form and aura at will. "I'm fine now." Su Zimo opened his eyes slowly and smiled at the four faces around him. The few of them were truly relieved when they heard that. Su Zimo smiled gently. "Continue cultivating and stabilizing your cultivation realms. Refine your weapons. Don't bother about me." Alright. Upon seeing that Su Zimo was fine, Monkey and the other three were relieved and dispersed to cultivate. Su Zimo closed his eyes once more and his heart was filled with joy. He had gained way too much from entering the nascent soul realm. Firstly, it was the increase in his lifespan. After cultivators entered the nascent soul realm, their lifespan would increase from the initial 500 years to 1,000 years. It was a full double. Actually, it was an increase in combat strength. After cultivating an essence spirit, one could use it to comprehend heaven and earth and utilize dermic powers to release all sorts of dermic arts. There were also many cultivation techniques and secret skills that he could begin cultivating. In terms of cultivation, he had two heaven-grade spirit refinement techniques. One was the Purple Thunder Manual and the other was the Great Day Rulai Sutra. In terms of demonic cultivation, after entering the nascent soul realm, the entire contents of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness, the Yin Spirit section, and the Yang Spirit section, the 9th section, appeared in his memories. As Su Zimo had expected, there was indeed an ancient demon king imparting the contents of the Yin and Yang Spirit sections. What he had not expected was that the ancient demon king was a dragon king. The 8th demon king had appeared. The Yin Spirit section mainly talked about how to refine one's spirit. Be it the scarlet-haired Yin Spirit or the black-haired Essence Spirit, they were both in the form of infants and were extremely fragile. They could not even withstand the sun, wind, rain, or frost, let alone sabers and swords. As long as they left the orifices of their bodies, their essence spirits would die easily. Therefore, be it in terms of demonic cultivation or cultivation, the most important thing was to refine one's spirit. According to the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness, one could refine the dregs of the Yin spirit to obtain a pure Yang spirit without Yin, and that was the Yang spirit. In cultivation, there was a saying that one could refine their spirit to the void reversion realm. Therefore, after the nascent soul realm was the void reversion realm. Be it the Yang spirit or the essence spirit of the void reversion realm, they did not fear the blazing sun or the astral winds and could truly break free from the shackles of their bodies and roam the world spiritually. In fact, they could even possess the bodies of others. Chapter 804. The Yin Spirit section did not record any killing secret skills or dermic arts of dragons. What was described was the spirit refinement technique of a dragon king of desolate ocean and how to consume the essence of the sun and moon to strengthen one's body and bloodline. Under normal circumstances, Su Zimo would face immense obstacles in cultivating the Yin Spirit section. Back then, if not for Dai Yu's guidance, he would not have been able to comprehend the body tempering, tendons transformation and bones strengthening sections in a few short years. Before Dai Yu left, she had also mentioned that it would be difficult for Su Zimo to continue cultivating without her by his side. That was the truth. For the organs refinement section, Su Zimo encountered a tremendous bottleneck and was stuck on the spot for a long time. If he had not woken up in the middle of the night by chance and heard the roars of tigers and leopards, he would not have achieved what he had today. The essence of the organs refinement section came from relatively ordinary demon beasts such as tigers and leopards. As for the Yin Spirit section, it came from the Dragon King. It was almost impossible for a cultivator to cultivate the spirit refinement technique of the Dragon King. Even if Su Zimo had the strengths of the immortal, Buddhist and fiend sects, it was difficult for him to understand the Yin Spirit section. However, by chance, Su Zimo had once consumed half a dragon egg. Later on, he cultivated the ancient dragonification manual and drank dragon blood for 20 years to cultivate the illumination dragon eye. The bloodline of dragons had already fused into his body completely. It could be said that right now, Su Zimo was half a dragon's. It was not difficult for him to understand the contents of the Yin Spirit section. Furthermore, he would definitely be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort if he cultivated the Yin Spirit section. Although Dai Yu was extremely resourceful and had incredible methods, she probably did not expect this outcome back then. Right now, the scarlet-haired Yin Spirit sat in Su Zimo's spirit platform and controlled his body. Su Zimo flipped his palm and a water mirror appeared. In the mirror, he had a head of red hair and his eyes shone with a demonic glint, giving off a demonic aura. Although he was in human form, no fiend demon would suspect his identity. Su Zimo nodded to himself with a satisfied expression. This appearance was more suitable for cultivating in Thousand Demon Valley and would save him a lot of trouble. "Young master, are you all right?" Little Fox woke up Su Zimo and hurried over, asking in concern. "I'm fine," Su Zimo smiled gently. "You guys can continue cultivating. Don't worry about me." "Heh, I told you that first is fine." Ling Hu chuckled and relaxed. Hindsight. Monkey pursed his lips and walked to the side to continue cultivating. They had just cultivated their primordial spirits and became fiendish demons. There were many things they needed to familiarize themselves with. Not only have they had to refinement techniques spirit spirit refinement of the dragons uses as have a chi. Yes, chi. The stick was covered in rust, and there was nothing special about it. However, this long rod was found in the astral dragon sputum lair, and even Lin Xuanji was shocked when he saw this long rod. The reason why Monkey chose the dragon's essence was simple. It was because he seemed to have sensed a calling from the unknowns the moment he caught sight of the dragon's essence. Monkey's glabella shone and released a spirit consciousness that enveloped the dragon's essence spirit. He began to refine it repeatedly and leave his unique essence spirit mark. Monkey intended to refine the dragon's destiny dermic weapon into his own. On the other side, Ling Hu was refining his dermic weapon as well. The dermic weapon he obtained from the astral dragon sputum lair was none other than the 4 tiger claws. Initially, he thought that the 4 tiger claws had already fused into his body and vanished. It was only the moment he turned into a fiend demon that he sensed the existence of the 4 tiger claws. Ling Hu channeled his essence spirit and gripped his fists tightly with trembling arms. Between his knuckles, an almost transparent jade-white claw that exuded a chilling aura slowly pierced through his flesh and extended. It was slender and sharp like a saber. There were 2 claws on each of his fists. Instinctively, Ling Hu touched the 4 claws gently. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The sound of metal clashing could be heard when the claws made contact. Ling Hu's eyes widened as he looked at the 4 lethal claws that extended from his fists. He was secretly delighted when he sensed the sharpness and coldness that they exuded. Those 4 claws could definitely be considered as indestructible. Furthermore, the 4 dermic weapons were fused perfectly with his body and he could wield them like an extension of his body. He would definitely be able to unleash his greatest combat strength. A jade-green feather fan hovered in front of Qing Qing. Under the channeling of her essence spirit, a ball of flames burned around the feather fan and refined it continuously, causing it to appear jade green. The reason why she chose that feather fan was because the feathers on it were made from the feathers of a Baifeng. Half of the Baifeng's bloodline flowed through Qing Qing's body. No one was more suitable for that jade green feather fan than her. Monkey and the other 3 used different methods to refine their dermic weapons. Right now, a pitch-black umbrella hovered above Little Fox's head. She had a grim expression and raised her head from time to time, spitting out a pink mist that emitted a faint fragrance. It enveloped the pitch-black umbrella and left an essence spirit mark on it. Crack, crack, crack. Right then, a cracking sound echoed from the cave. It was as though something had shattered. Monkey's heart skipped a beat as he glared at the rod before him with a bright gaze. This cracking sound came from the rod in front of him. Under the constant refinement of his origin soul, some changes finally occurred to the body of the long rod. A large piece of rust cracked open, and a dazzling golden light burst out from within, spreading out in all directions. Instantly, the golden light suppressed the auras of Linghu's claws, Ching Ching's jade green feather fan, and Little Fox's pitch-black umbrella. Even the many formations set up at the entrance of the cave could not conceal that blinding golden light. The golden light surged into the skies. The piece of rust in the middle of the rod finally fell off, revealing the golden rod within. Gradually, the golden light dimmed. There were 2 words engraved at the spot where the rust fell off: Qianjun. Qianjun, Qianjun. How domineering! What a good name! Monkey reared his head in laughter and pulled out the rod in front of him, waving it around in delight. 100 kilometers away, in Black Wind Ridge, there were hundreds of demons traversing through the forest in a majestic manner. All the demon beasts in the vicinity had long fled upon hearing the commotion. In the middle of the hundreds of demons, there were 8 muscular bull demons carrying an open-air carriage. They huffed and puffed as they moved in a stable manner. There were dozens of low-level fiend demons around the carriage as well. The moon was surrounded by stars. On the carriage, a black-robed young man with a pale face and dazed eyes rested on the knees of a voluptuous woman dressed in a thin veil. The woman had sharp ears and was clearly not human. However, she was extremely beautiful and charming. She pinched a green grape that resembled a jade bead in her left hand and fed it to the black-robed young man with a smile. Thereafter, the woman took a mouthful of wine and lowered her head slightly, kissing the black-robed man on the lips. She stuck out her tongue gently and passed the wine in her mouth over. The man had an intoxicated expression and enjoyed the fragrance of the woman. All of a sudden, in the distant sky, a golden light appeared and disappeared in an instant. Suddenly, the black-robed man opened his eyes and they shone brightly. He did not seem drunk at all. He glanced over and smirked. Reaching out, he grabbed the woman's chest and said leisurely, "Let's go take a look." Chapter 805. Within the cave. Monkey was extremely excited as he wielded Imminent with both hands and waved it around in a ferocious manner. There were many afterimages of the staff that were bedazzling. Although the commotion caused by Imminent was not small, it did not attract Su Zimo's attention. At that moment, he was completely immersed in his cultivation. After advancing to the nascent soul realm, his flesh, tendons, bones, bloodline and organs were all undergoing a silent transformation. Breaking through the voids and condensing an essence spirit was equivalent to communicating with heaven and earth. Even without Su Zimo's control, his body had already turned stronger and more frightening under the influence of dermic powers. Of course, this was a process. Some cultivators might need half a year. Some might need years or even decades. However, Su Zimo discovered that his metamorphosis was happening at an extremely fast speed. It was as though a violent storm was sweeping through his entire body and he could clearly sense the growth of his strength. He was growing stronger with every passing moment. That was the terror of dual essence spirits. A single essence spirit would channel dermic powers to improve a cultivator's physique and bloodline. However, 2 essence spirits would cause the changes to become even more obvious and rapid. Furthermore, the 2 essence spirits that Su Zimo cultivated were extremely strong to begin with. At that moment, the scarlet-haired Een spirit was in the middle of the spirit platform and occupied the dominant position. As for the black-haired essence spirit, it sat in a lotus position in a corner. Su Zimo discovered that the true terror of dual essence spirits was that both essence spirits could cultivate at the same time without affecting one another. At that moment, his scarlet-haired Een spirit had already begun comprehending the Een spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and was cultivating. The black-haired essence spirit in the corner had also begun comprehending the purple thunder manual. With that, the cultivation realms of both essence spirits would not fall behind. On the surface, Su Zimo was at early-stage nascent soul. However, the power of his essence spirit was definitely not at that level. Furthermore, he had many trump cards and his true combat strength had already far surpassed early-stage nascent souls. Now that he was at nascent soul realm, he might be able to fight even against early-stage void reversions or weaker mid-level fiend demons. Void reversion realm. Su Zimo murmured softly with a hint of coldness in his voice. Xuanyu Daoren was at the return to void stage. Back in the Great Qian ruins, Xuanyu Daoren disregarded his status as a void reversion and interfered in the fight for the vermilion fruit, wanting to kill him. Not only did he break his wrist, he also shattered his inner core, destroyed his Jin Dan, and completely crippled his cultivation. It was also because of Xuanyu Daoren that the 13 cities of the Yen Kingdom were massacred and the people of the Yen Kingdom were killed. Because of this, Su Hong was also mentally and physically exhausted. Eventually, he passed away. In order to save her, the only thing her mother had left her, the fire-warding basket, had been snatched away by Xuanyu Daoren. Su Zimo had always remembered these things. Of course, he knew very well that even if he had cultivated 2 essence spirits, possessed the bloodline of dragons and had many trump cards, he was most likely not a match for Xuanyu Daoren at this moment. However, if he were to cultivate to mid-stage, late-stage, or even perfected nascent soul, he would have the confidence to fight against Xuanyu Daoren. Time passed slowly. After the initial excitement of refining the weapon, Monkey and the others calmed down and began to cultivate obediently. Su Zimo slapped his storage bag and took out a seemingly tattered lotus platform. His glabella shone with a faint glow and the tattered lotus platform vanished with a swoosh. It had already entered Su Zimo's consciousness. It was time to refine this creation Qinglian. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's ears twitched and he frowned. It seemed like many demon beasts were heading in their direction. In Thousand Demon Valley, flying beasts were everywhere and it was normal for demon beasts to move about. However, Su Zimo could not be certain that the demon beasts were here for them. Furthermore, it was clear that the demon beasts were from Black Sand Ridge. There should not be any feud between them and Black Sand Ridge. What was the background of the demon beasts then? With that thought, Su Zimo willed and a mysterious power spread out from his glabella. Like water ripples, it extended outwards. Su Zimo froze for a moment before coming to a realization. If he was not wrong, this should be the spirit consciousness that one would only possess after cultivating an essence spirit. If sight, hearing, smell, taste and touch were the 5 senses of the physical body, the spirit consciousness would be a sense of the essence spirit. Even though there was only one type, it completely encompassed the effects of the 5 senses. Although Su Zimo was separated from the cave by his spirit consciousness and could not see what was happening outside, he could sense everything that was happening outside with his spirit consciousness. In fact, his spirit consciousness could even sense that there were ants crawling in the mud 5 kilometers away. It was a mysterious feeling. Through his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo could even see what the ants looked like and the fine hairs on their antennae clearly. The 5 senses were innate. Even the body of a mortal possessed the 5 senses. Therefore, there were many restrictions on the 5 senses. For example, one could not see Mount Tai with a single leaf. However, spirit consciousnesses did not have such considerations. Spirit consciousnesses were like flowing water that could penetrate through every orifice. Even with a single leaf's vision, spirit consciousnesses could bypass the leaf and even see the patterns on the back of the leaf clearly. Right now, although Su Zimo could hear the commotion in the distance, he could not see who was causing it. However, he could see with his spirit consciousness. Releasing his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo extended his spirit consciousness forward to check. 5 kilometers, 20 kilometers, 50 kilometers. The range of Su Zimo's spirit consciousness expanded continuously. After reaching 50 kilometers, Su Zimo finally felt that his essence spirit was at its limit and his spirit consciousness was exhausted. It could not extend anymore. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat as he realized something and his spirit consciousness nearly dissipated. He had read some records regarding spirit consciousnesses in the ancient books at the bottom of the Dragon Burial Valley. Under normal circumstances, the range of an ordinary Jining Jinjuan's spirit consciousness was about 5 kilometers. It was already rather strong to be able to reach 20 kilometers. Those who could reach 15 kilometers could be considered paragons. As for 40 or 50 kilometers, they were monster incarnates that only appeared once in 10,000 years. 50 kilometers was the range of a void reversion's spirit consciousness. At that moment, Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm, and yet, his spirit consciousness had a range of 50 kilometers. It was comparable to the spirit consciousness of a void reversion. However, that was merely the range of the scarlet-haired Een spirit's spirit consciousness. The black-haired essence spirit's spirit consciousness range was close to 50 kilometers as well. If he were to fuse the power of his two essence spirits, his spirit consciousness would most likely reach a range of 200 kilometers. Su Zimo took a deep breath and calmed himself down. His spirit consciousness had already caught sight of the group of demon beasts. Through the envelopment of his spirit consciousness, Su Zimo could see the appearances of every single demon beast. In fact, he could even sense their cultivation realms and auras. Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man who was drinking and having fun on the carriage in the middle of the demon beasts. The black-robed young man seemed to be shrouded in a layer of obstruction that prevented his spirit consciousness from probing, nor could he see through the black-robed young man's background. At the same time, the moment Su Zimo's spirit consciousness swept past the black-robed young man, the latter seemed to have sensed it, and his eyes regained clarity for a moment as he glanced over in a seemingly casual manner. Thereafter, the black-robed young man looked at the woman beside him with drunken eyes and said lecherously, "Beauty, drink, drink." Chapter 806. The black-robed young man merely drank and made merry with the woman beside him, as though he was completely immersed in it. A moment later, when the spirit consciousness on his body receded like the tides, the black-robed young man suddenly straightened his body and his eyes regained clarity. With a cold expression, he rubbed his chin and murmured, "Interesting. Young master, what's wrong?" The woman's voluptuous body was pressed tightly against the black-robed young man, rubbing against him coquettishly as she asked coyly. The black-robed young man smirked and replied with a fake smile, "Nothing much. Just now, someone released their spirit consciousness and checked me out." "What a reckless fool." The woman harumphed and said in a fawning manner, "To think that someone would dare to check you out in Black Sand Ridge. How rude. That person doesn't know the rules. I can teach him." Although the black-robed young man seemed to be saying casually, there was an inexplicable killing intent behind his voice. "Protector Shur, Protector Cha." Here. Two low-level fiend demons appeared beside the black-robed young man in a flash. The black-robed young man opened a map and marked a rough location before saying in a deep voice, "Bring some men and hurry over. Surround this place first and don't let anyone escape." "Understood." The two protectors each brought more than 10 fiend demons and released their movement techniques, passing through the forest and rushing over at full speed. As for the black-robed young man, he sat on his carriage and rushed over in a carefree manner. About an hour later, the black-robed young man's group arrived at their destination in a majestic manner. Protector Shur and Protector N arrived before him. "Young master, no one has left during this period of time." Protector N and Protector Shur exchanged glances and could see the confusion in each other's eyes. Although they had surrounded this place, it was a barren land with only 2 or 3 hills. Not to mention a human figure, there wasn't even a shadow of a ghost. The black-robed young man stood up and surveyed his surroundings, frowning as well. His senses could not be wrong. That golden light, as well as the divine sense that was probing him, definitely came from somewhere nearby. Why was there nothing here? Could it be that that person had realized something and had already escaped? That did not make sense. The black-robed young man's expression darkened. When that nameless divine sense probed him, he didn't show any hostility or killing intent at all. Could it be that this person was so cautious that he chose to flee directly? The black-robed young man's forehead flickered as he spread out his divine sense and scanned the area within 1 li in an attempt to find any clues. Although Protector N and Protector Shur were expressionless and stood with their hands by their sides, they were cursing in their hearts. They had already scouted this place several times. This place was so desolate that not even an ant could be found. How could there be anyone here? After a short while, the black-robed young man withdrew his divine sense, and his gaze descended onto the foot of a nearby mountain. A wisp of ridicule flashed in his eyes as he said unhurriedly, "Come out, these deceptions can't deceive me." Hundreds of demonic beasts gathered nearby. They all followed the black-robed youth's gaze, but all they saw was a bare mountain wall. There was nothing there. Suddenly, the mountain wall seemed to have turned into a water curtain as ripples appeared on it. Several people walked out one after another. One of them was tall and had arms that extended past his knees. He carried a long rusty rod on his shoulder and had a prideful expression, as though he didn't care about anything. The other person was burly and muscular, walking with a majestic gait. His gaze was filled with endless might, as though he was the king of all beasts. The other two were two peerless beauties. One of them held a feather fan and had a slender figure with curves. Her long, straight legs were especially eye-catching. The other wore a fiery red dress and looked extremely obedient. Her features were exquisite and her eyes were clear like water. Her face was flawless and she was extremely beautiful. However, the young girl held a pitch-black umbrella in her hands. Compared to her aura, it was neither fish nor fowl. When they saw the young girl holding the umbrella, many demonic beasts held their breaths. She was way too beautiful. So beautiful that it took one's breath away. The woman beside the black-robed young man was considered to be the most beautiful demon in Black Sand Ridge. However, she paled in comparison to this young girl. The black-robed young man's eyes lit up when he caught sight of the two women. However, a cold glint flashed through the eyes of the woman beside him. At this moment, another person walked out from the mountain wall. That person wore green robes and had refined features. However, he had a head of long, blood-red hair and gave off a demonic aura. The black-robed young man's spirit consciousness had already detected that the 5 of them before him were low-level fiend demons. Furthermore, they seemed like they had just turned into fiend demons not long ago. Under normal circumstances, 5 low-level fiend demons were nothing much in Black Sand Ridge. However, the black-robed young man frowned slightly. For some unknown reason, the 5 of them were way too calm. The 5 of them were hiding here and had nowhere to hide after he saw through their concealment technique. They should be feeling uneasy and fearful. They shouldn't be as calm as they were. The black-robed young man's gaze landed on the blood-haired young man who walked out last and froze. Although that person was also a low-level fiend demon, the black-robed young man could not see through him. When his spirit consciousness landed on that person, it was blocked by an invisible resistance. He could not even tell what that person's true form was. The black-robed young man could vaguely guess that the spirit consciousness that was probing him just now should belong to this scarlet-haired young man. Naturally, this group was Su Zimo, Monkey, and the others. When the black-robed young man glared at Su Zimo, he was sizing up the other party as well. Su Zimo could tell that the black-robed young man was most likely the most troublesome among the hundreds of demon beasts. They were not surprised or flustered at all when they were exposed. That was because they had no intention of hiding to begin with. Otherwise, Su Zimo would have led everyone away long before the black-robed young man arrived. They had only been in Thousand Demon Valley for slightly more than 10 days and yet, they had undergone way too many changes. When they first entered Thousand Demon Valley, they were still spirit demons. Right now, they were already fiend demons. More than 10 days ago, they were still being hunted down by many demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain and had no fixed abode. But now, they were able to remain calm despite being surrounded by demons. The biggest reason why they did not leave was because there was no need for that. Monkey was extremely belligerent and had just become a fiend demon. After refining his destiny-dermic weapon, he was itching for a fight and could not wait to find someone to fight. Why would he leave? Ling Hu and the others were also filled with anger from being hunted down. Now that someone was taking the initiative to seek them out, they were naturally not afraid. Instead, their eyes flickered with excitement and eagerness. The weather's great. It's been a long time since I've come out to stretch my muscles. Ling Hu ignored the demons and twisted his neck, stretching his tendons and bones as a crisp sound echoed from his body. "How dare you!" Protector Shi's gaze burned brightly as he hollered, "Which fiend demon are you guys? Why aren't you kneeling when you see the young master of Black Sand Ridge?" "Young master?" Ling Hu pouted with a disdainful expression and spouted nonsense. "How fresh is that? I, Hu Banin, am the young master of Black Tiger Ridge." Protector Shi was a pig demon that cultivated into a spirit and was slow on the uptake. He was stunned by Ling Hu and his heart skipped a beat as he pondered internally. Black Tiger Ridge? Why haven't I heard of that territory before? Looking at this person's posture, I'm afraid he really has a great background. Chapter 807. There were many overlords in Thousand Demon Valley and countless territorial lords of various sizes. Naturally, there were many territories like Howling Moon Mountain and Black Sand Ridge as well. Protector Shi was born with a big head and was merely a pig demon of Black Sand Ridge. It was only logical that there were territories that he had not heard of. In his moment of confusion, Monkey grinned. "I'm the young master of Black Ape Ridge. Have you heard of me?" "Another one?" Protector Shi was alarmed. Ching Ching giggled. "I'm the young master of Black Crane Ridge. I'm from Black Fox Ridge." Little Fox mustered her courage and joined in the fun as well. However, towards the end, she was truly embarrassed and did not continue. She merely stuck out her tongue cutely. Su Zimo smiled. No matter how slow Protector Shi's reaction was, he could tell that Monkey and the others were teasing him. A series of laughter sounded from the demon beasts at the side. The black-robed young man was expressionless and said nothing. "How dare you tease me? You must have a death wish." Protector Shi's face flushed purplish red and he was enraged. His flesh expanded and his body expanded significantly. Although he was still in human form, a menacing pig head grew from his neck. It had sharp fangs and a torrential demonic chi. The eyes of the other demon beasts shone with a ferocious glint as well. They were eager and were waiting for the black-robed young man's order to tear the few of them into pieces. Suddenly, the black-robed young man said, "I don't care which territory you're from. However, I can tell you that this is Black Sand Ridge. In Black Sand Ridge, you have to abide by its rules." Monkey grinned and revealed a row of white teeth. "What dogsh asterisk T rules are they? I was born to break the rules." Apart from the two women, the remaining three, the black-robed young man paused for a moment and spat out coldly, "Kill?" Protector Shi summoned a gigantic steel rake and his plump body soared into the air. Glaring fiercely at Ling Hu, he roared and descended from the skies. He hated this tiger to death. It made him lose face, so he rushed up at the first moment. "Moo!" Protector Jia roared and transformed into his true form. It was a huge bull demon. Protector Jia raised his pair of sharp horns and panted heavily. His hooves dug into the ground, causing dirt to fly up as he stared at the monkey not far away. "Leave this vixen to me." The woman beside the black-robed young man stood up and looked at the little fox with malicious intentions. Jealousy flickered in her eyes as she stuck out her tongue and licked her lips. The demoness had an extremely long tongue with a forked tip. This was a lamia. "Don't hurt her." The young man with the black badge glanced at the snake woman. He seemed to have seen through her thoughts and gave her a warning. Snake Girl was unwilling, but she still said with a smile, "Don't worry, young master. I'll help you train this little girl well." A few demons wanted to fight for credit, so they rushed towards Ching Ching and Su Zimo at the same time. The black-robed young man reclined on the chariot with a leisurely look on his face. The black-robed youth didn't move, and neither did Su Zimo. Monkey and the others had just turned into fiend demons and were itching for a fight. This was the perfect opportunity for them to familiarize themselves with the strength of fiend demons. Su Zimo only had a single target, the black-robed young man. He could tell that although the black-robed young man was young, he was far from simple. There was a high chance that he was a mid-level fiend demon. On the other side, a huge battle had already broken out. Protector Shi swung his heavy rake and drew an arc in midair, smashing towards Ling Hu viciously. Ling Hu reverted to his true form and moved at an extremely fast speed in a flash. Before the rake landed, Ling Hu had already lunged towards Protector Shi's chest and extended his tiger claw, thrusting forward. Protector Shi was shocked. He had not expected Ling Hu's counterattack to be so ferocious. Although he could crush Ling Hu's head with that strike, his life would be in danger as well. This was an exchange of a life for a life. It wasn't easy for me to become a protector. How can I exchange my life for yours? With a thought, Protector Shi released a tremendous amount of brute force and stopped the momentum of the rake forcefully. He changed his stance at the last minute and swung his hand in reverse, striking towards Ling Hu as though he was sweeping through an entire army. Clang! Ling Hu's tiger claw collided with the rake and sparks flew everywhere. All of a sudden, a series of electric arcs shone from Ling Hu's body and surged into Protector Shi's body through the point of collision between the tiger claw and the rake. Groar! Protector Shi shrieked tragically and his pig fur stood on end, emitting green smoke. Even his flesh was charred from the electricity. Hee. Ling Hu took advantage of the situation and lunged forward, stabbing all 10 claws into Protector Shi's chest viciously. Exclamation point! Blood flashed. All 10 claws were buried deep into Protector Shi's chest. Under normal circumstances, that would be a serious injury for any demon beast. However, Protector Shi's heart sank the moment Ling Hu's claws pierced his chest. The pig demon's flesh was way too thick. The pig demon did not have any other capabilities apart from its thick skin. Ling Hu's claws did not injure the pig demon's vitals at all. He did not even make contact with its organs. Go to hell! Protector Shi laughed menacingly and suddenly reached out with both arms, hugging Ling Hu's head tightly. At the same time, Protector Shi raised his head and the pair of sharp fangs beneath his chin protruded upwards, piercing towards Ling Hu's throat viciously. The fights between demons were almost always close-quarters combat. It was the most dangerous and could change in an instant. Initially, Ling Hu had the upper hand. However, in the blink of an eye, he was in immense danger. His claws were dug into the other party's chest and he could not pull them out in time. His body was locked and there was nowhere for him to dodge against the incoming fangs. All of a sudden, Ling Hu's heart skipped a beat and a tearing pain came from the gaps between his bones in his bloodline. Exclamation point! It was the sound of a sharp weapon piercing flesh once more. Protector Shi's fangs were less than an inch away from Ling Hu's throat. However, they stopped there motionlessly. Ling Hu broke free from Protector Shi's control and retreated. Apart from the 5 sharp claws on his tiger paws, there were also 2 thin, sharp blades between his fingers that were stained with blood. Just now, those 4 tiger claws had reached out and pierced Protector Shi's chest. Protector Shi's eyes widened and he lowered his head slowly, staring at the fresh blood that was gushing out of his chest. His strength was draining rapidly as well. With a thud, Protector Shi fell to the ground and gradually stopped breathing. Ling Hu's heart pounded after escaping death. Instead of fear in his eyes, he was even more excited. Haha! Ling Hu reared his head in laughter. What dog *T Protector? He was still killed by me, Hu Banin. On the other side, Protector Cha was galloping with his head lowered and a pair of bull horns raised. His massive and muscular body dashed past, causing dust to fly everywhere. Even the ground was trembling. This was one of the demonic arts of the bull demon race, the raging bull charge. When it was fully charged, it was so powerful that it could even crush mountains. None of the low-level fiend demons dared to take it head-on. Monkey wielded his metal rod and remained motionless against the incoming bull demon. However, the sanguine glint in his eyes gradually brightened. Chapter 808. The black-robed young man shifted his gaze and looked at Monkey not far away with interest. Among the protectors of Black Sand Ridge, Protector Cha's strength could only be considered average. However, not many protectors could withstand that bull's charge head-on. He did not believe that a monkey that had just turned into a fiend demon would be able to defend against Protector Cha's charge. Rumble! Bang! The sound of hooves thundered. Protector Cha charged over and by the time he arrived before Monkey, His aura was already at its limits. Moo! Protector Ja roared angrily and pushed forward. Good timing. Monkey finally moved and slapped Imminent's tail, causing the entire rod to bounce up. Wielding Imminent with both hands, Monkey swung his arms and smashed down viciously at the incoming bull's head. Imminent streaked through the air, leaving afterimages one after another. Bang! The two demon beasts collided. Immediately after, the shuddering sound of bones cracking could be heard. Right in front of everyone, Protector Cha's head was smashed into the ground by Monkey's rod and blood gushed everywhere. Protector Cha's essence spirit was shattered by Monkey's rod and he died on the spot. The demons were in an uproar. Nobody expected that two protectors of Black Sand Ridge would die on the spot the moment they exchanged blows. Many demon beasts that charged forward were stunned. Crack, 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 crack. A series of cracks appeared on Imminent's body and shone with a faint golden light. The black-robed young man narrowed his eyes and took a closer look, lamenting to himself, just now, that golden light that flashed by should be from that item. Initially, Monkey only had a piece of rust on Imminent when he refined it. But now, against Protector Cha, the rust on Imminent cracked and fell off in succession against the terrifying collision, revealing a golden rod that shone with the resplendent light. From its appearance, anyone could tell that this long staff was a rare treasure. Demon Monkey, don't get cocky. Wait for the black and white heroes to take care of you. Before his sentence was finished, two fiend demons had already charged over. Although their bodies were massive, they were agile. One of them was pitch black while the other was snow. They were two bear demons. The two bear demons each took out a long saber. As they rushed over, the long sabers slashed down from the sky. The two bear demons cooperated with each other very well. It was obvious that they were good at joint attacks. Those two sabers were not ordinary items either. There were two dermic patterns carved on them. They were middle-grade perfected Lord Dermic weapons. I don't care if you're a pair of bears or a pair of heroes. Get lost. The monkey swung Qianjun to the left and right, smashing the two sabers. Clang, clang. Sparks flickered, and the two sabers broke. A mid-grade true monarch dermic artifact was actually unable to withstand the force of 1,000 caddies. The monkey's blood-red eyes scanned Qianjun's body, but he didn't find any scratches. He was overjoyed and laughed heartily. Ha! Good, good, good. What a great treasure. Follow me from now on, and I won't let you be covered in dust. The black and white heroes, who had lost their Dharma artifacts, jumped in fright. They had just rushed forward when they wanted to retreat. How could the monkey give them this chance? Accompanied by two tragic cries, the two bloated bodies were sent flying by the monkey's two strikes. By the time they landed on the ground, their tendons and bones were already broken and they were barely alive. On the other side, the snake woman had already arrived beside Little Fox. The snake woman gazed coquettishly and reached out with her slender fingers to caress Little Fox's cheeks, saying coyly, "Lass, your skin is so smooth that it's like water can be squeezed out. I'm so envious. Come, let me touch you." There was a fatal killing intent hidden beneath the snake woman's beautiful smile. However, there were very few people who could notice it. In Black Sand Ridge, the snake woman was a famous femme fatale and many fiend demons died in her hands. In terms of cultivation, she far surpassed Little Fox. However, her bewitching methods were truly nothing in the face of Little Fox. Little Fox retreated half a step and dodged the snake woman's finger by a hair's breadth with a calm expression. A faint stench of blood wafted over. Between the snake woman's fingers, there was a dark green needle. Just now, if Little Fox were to allow the snake woman to touch her cheeks, her face would be ruined even if she wouldn't die. The snake woman's viciousness was shuddering. Little Fox's eyes flashed with rage as well. The pitch-black umbrella in her hands thrust forward like a spear at an extremely fast speed and arrived instantly. After a year of training in the ancient battlefield, Little Fox had already matured rapidly and was no longer weak or timid. "Foo-foo, lass, you're angry." The snake woman laughed coquettishly and retreated gracefully, raising her palm gently. A ball of green liquid sprayed towards Little Fox. Many fiend demons in the surroundings were shocked when they caught sight of the green liquid. Wariness flashed through their eyes as they dodged hurriedly, afraid that they would be implicated. That green liquid was the strongest poison in the snake woman's body. Anyone who came into contact with it would be corroded into pus. Even some dermic weapons would be destroyed upon contact with the poison. It was extremely powerful. Little Fox was unhurried as she opened the pitch-black umbrella in her hands. The surface of the umbrella was like the heavens as it shielded her. The snake woman's poison sprayed onto the surface of the umbrella. There was no reaction at all. The terrifying poison did not cause any ripples when it landed on the surface of the umbrella. Like a stone ox entering the sea, it vanished completely, as though it was devoured by the pitch-black umbrella. Looking at the pitch-black umbrella not far away, the snake woman was secretly alarmed. The pitch-black umbrella was like a bottomless abyss of darkness. Even her gaze and mind were about to be pulled in if she looked at it for too long. She had a feeling that even if she were to land on the pitch-black umbrella, she would be devoured into nothingness, let alone her poison. At the same time, Ching Ching was already engaged in a fight with the fiend demons. Ching Ching reverted to her true form and cried continuously as she flapped her wings. Relying on the speed of her movement technique, she shuttled between the 5 fiend demons and was gradually finding it difficult to deal with them. After all, she had just become a low-level fiend demon and had yet to adapt to the strength of a fiend demon completely. Against the combined forces of the 5 fiend demons, Ching Ching's space to maneuver was getting smaller and smaller. Demoness, surrender and the young master will definitely take pity on you, one of the fiend demons said lecherously. All the demons burst into laughter. Ching Ching's expression was cold. With a single thought, she spat out an exquisite feather fan that expanded with the wind and expanded in midair. The feather fan was green in color and seemed to be burning with tiny flames that distorted the surrounding space. All the demons were shocked. The green feather fan looked extremely extraordinary and gave off a scorching aura. Die. Ching Ching's glabella shone and she injected the power of her essence spirit into the green feather fan, fanning it in the direction of the 5 fiend demons. Swoosh! A ball of green flames burst forth instantly and engulfed the 5 fiend demons. No matter how the 5 fiend demons struggled, they could not extinguish the flames on their bodies. In the blink of an eye, the flesh and blood of the 5 fiend demons were reduced to ashes, leaving behind white bones that fell from midair with billowing green smoke. Pissed! The group of demons sucked in a cold breath. What sort of a feather fan was that? To think that it possessed such might. In the blink of an eye, a few fiend demons from Black Sand Ridge were dead. They suffered heavy losses. A massive battle broke out and Black Sand Ridge was disadvantaged in a clash of techniques. The black-robed young man's expression turned terrible and he finally sat up from the carriage, as though he was prepared to attack. All of a sudden, the black-robed young man sensed something. Not far away, 2 pairs of eyes landed on him. They were like 2 sharp swords, threatening and warning him. Chapter 809. The black-robed young man glanced sideways and caught sight of Su Zimo, who was not far away. A hint of mockery flashed through the black-robed young man's eyes. Although he could not see through Su Zimo, he could sense that the latter had just become a low-level fiend demon. How dare a low-level fiend demon threaten and warn him? Killing intent surged in the black-robed young man's heart. Just as he was about to strike, he saw 3 fiend demons charging over from the side. The 3 fiend demons saw that Su Zimo had delicate features and was standing quietly behind Little Fox and Ching Ching with empty hands and seemed to be the easiest to deal with. What's so great about hiding behind 2 women? Let's see how long you can hide. One of the fiend demons wielded a cold iron spear and hollered. His blood chi rumbled and dermic powers surged on his spear. Glaring at Su Zimo's face, he thrust his spear forward. Su Zimo stood motionlessly with his hands behind his back, as though he was scared out of his wits. The fiend demon's eyes danced with a ferocious glint and he could not help but grin. It was as though he could see the scene of Su Zimo's head being pierced by the spear. The blood in his body could not help but rumble. A cold beam of light closed in rapidly. Su Zimo ignored it and did not even blink. Right as the cold beam of light was less than an inch away from his face, Su Zimo suddenly struck and gripped the incoming spear in a flash. His fingers clamped down on the spear like a tight band. The fiend demon's smile froze on his face. It was too fast. He did not manage to see when or how Su Zimo struck. By the time he realized what happened, the spear in his hands could no longer pierce forward. Not only that, no matter how much strength he exerted, the spear could not budge at all in Su Zimo's grip. Right then, Su Zimo spoke. His voice was calm and emotionless. Indeed, I'm not very capable. However, it's enough to kill you. Before he finished his sentence, Su Zimo's palms suddenly went limp and wrapped around the spear. The entire spear spun rapidly. The fiend demon could not hold on to it and let go instinctively. The fiend demon shrieked tragically and his palms were already a bloody mess. Before he could react, a ferocious force slammed into his chest and sent him flying from the ground. His body was sent flying uncontrollably and he could only feel the tree figures on both sides retreating. Bang! He seemed to have crashed into an ancient tree, and his body finally came to a stop. Countless green leaves rustled and fell before his eyes. Immediately after, he felt a tearing pain in his chest. Instinctively, he lowered his head. His chest was pierced by a cold spear. It was his own cold iron spear. His chest had been pierced through by his own cold iron spear, and blood was gushing out. How of me? The light in his eyes gradually dimmed. Blood flowed out of his mouth as he lowered his head. His sins. His of es inzes of the black-robed young man saw everything clearly. Although the fiend demon was merely thrusting with his spear, Su Zimo snatched it away instantly and tossed it in reverse, pinning the fiend demon to the ancient tree behind him. Although the entire process seemed simple, the black-robed young man knew that a terrifying burst of strength, strong combat talent, rich melee combat experience, and fearless guts were required to achieve such an effortless feat. Without any of those, it would be difficult to succeed. Even he might not be able to do this if he was in the same position. Before the black-robed young man could finish his thought, the other two fiend demons that were charging towards Su Zimo had already closed in on him. Bang! Bang! In a flash, Su Zimo advanced instead of retreating and cut in front of the two fiend demons. He punched with both fiend demons with peerless power. The two fiend demons were sent flying, and by the time they landed on the ground, they were already corpses. It was clean and clean. After advancing to the nascent soul realm, Su Zimo's bloodline and body had undergone an unimaginable transformation with his two essence spirits. Although he was only at early-stage nascent soul realm, ordinary low-level fiend demons could not cause him any trouble at all. The black-robed young man soared into the air and lunged towards Su Zimo. Swoosh! Suddenly, a powerful energy fluctuation spread through the voids. Heaven and earth trembled and a domineering might surged. Every single fiend demon present felt their hearts skip a beat. Void reversion realm. Only void reversions could release such power. It was a spirit consciousness attack. Be it Jining Jinjuan or the low-level fiend demons, they had already cultivated essence spirits. With essence spirits, there would naturally be spirit consciousnesses as well. However, the spirit consciousnesses of Jining Jinjuan and the low-level fiend demons could only be used for scouting and were not strong enough to launch attacks. Only void reversions and mid-level fiend demons could materialize their essence spirits and launch attacks. The black-robed young man, who was also the young master of Black Sand Ridge, was a mid-level fiend demon. Spirit consciousness attacks were killing techniques that targeted one's essence spirit and were extremely dangerous. If one could not defend against it, their essence spirit would be severely injured and they would die on the spot. Even Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals would not be able to save them. The powerful spirit consciousness fluctuations swept towards Su Zimo like a sandstorm that was dry and scorching. Su Zimo's expression changed. Before the power arrived, he felt his heart skip a beat and his spirit perception warned him repeatedly. The scarlet-haired Een spirit in the middle of the spirit platform was formed from cultivating the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. Although it was strong, it was only an early-stage Yin spirit and had yet to reach the level where it could launch spirit consciousness attacks. It was the same for the black-haired essence spirit. Su Zimo was helpless against the black-robed young man's spirit consciousness attack. That was also the reason why mid-level fiend demons had an overwhelming advantage over low-level fiend demons. It was not only because of the leap in dermic powers. A single spirit consciousness attack was enough to kill all low-level fiend demons. Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and was not familiar with the combat techniques of that level, let alone the void reversion realm that was one level higher. The black-robed young man stood in midair and sneered with crossed arms. In his opinion, that single attack was enough to kill Su Zimo. The massive spirit consciousness surged over. Su Zimo could no longer avoid it. If he allowed the black-robed young man's spirit consciousness to rush into his spirit platform, his essence spirit would definitely be severely injured. All of a sudden, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat and a thought flashed through his mind. The scarlet-haired Yin spirit in the middle of the spirit platform suddenly stood up. The black-haired essence spirit that was initially seated in a lotus position in a corner stood up at the same time. The two essence spirits closed in rapidly and fused together. Su Zimo's two essence spirits were separated from his soul to begin with. Now that they were fusing together, there was no resistance at all. A brand new essence spirit appeared in the spirit platform. The essence spirit had long black and red hair with a left eye that was blood red and right eye that was pitch black. Although it was in the form of an infant, it had a cold expression and looked down on everything, exuding a domineering aura that looked down on the world. The fusion of the essence spirits caused the power of the essence spirits to increase exponentially. Naturally, the spirit consciousness became incomparably vast as well and condensed into an ocean, creating a series of raging waves in the spirit platform. The brand new primordial spirit let out a roar in the spiritual platform. Boom! Su Zimo's glabella shone brightly and released an incomparably terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation that collided against the incoming spirit consciousness. Chapter 8:10. Boom! The two divine consciousnesses collided fiercely, and an earth-shattering explosion erupted. Ripples of chi waves appeared in the void, spreading outwards. The ancient trees in the surroundings were snapped one after another by the shockwave. Initially, the black-robed young man was composed and stood with his arms crossed, waiting for Su Zimo to die. However, he did not expect to receive such an impact. Caught off guard, the black-robed young man was sent flying by a tremendous force and somersaulted a couple of times in midair, almost falling. Su Zimo staggered back a couple of steps as well before stabilizing himself. The collision of their spirit consciousnesses was evenly matched. The demons were in an uproar. Be it cultivators or demon cultivators, all of them had the same understanding: low-level fiend demons could not release spirit consciousness attacks at all. The essence spirits of low-level fiend demons were the weakest. If they were separated from their bodies, they would die easily from exposure to the elements. The strength of the spirit consciousness released by such a weak essence spirit was limited. It was impossible for them to launch attacks. However, what happened right now had already surpassed the understanding of the demons. The black-robed young man stabilized himself with a shocked expression. How was that possible? How could a low-level fiend demon's spirit consciousness be this strong? He was a mid-level fiend demon. They were an entire major cultivation realm apart. Yet, this man was able to clash with his spirit consciousness without being disadvantaged. In reality, the black-robed young man did not know that Su Zimo had just advanced to the nascent soul realm and had yet to complete the transformation of his essence spirit, body and bloodline with dermic powers. In other words, Su Zimo was not even at early-stage nascent soul right now. If he were to wait for a period of time until his cultivation realm stabilized, the black-robed young man would definitely be severely injured from the impact of the Yin Spirit section, Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra tempering his two essence spirits. Interesting, after his shock, the black-robed young man composed himself quickly and glared at Su Zimo with a burning gaze. He said slowly, "Let's see what secrets you're hiding." You're probably not going to live to see it. Su Zimo sneered and arrived before the black-robed young man in a flash. Extending his gigantic palm, he smashed down on the black-robed young man's head. You're courting death. The black-robed youth narrowed his eyes. He did not retreat or evade. Instead, he threw a backhand punch at Su Zimo's palm. Just as the fist and palm were about to collide, the corners of the black-robed youth's mouth curled up slightly, and a trace of complacency flashed in his eyes. With a flip of his palm, a cold light flickered. Suddenly, a 3-inch-long black spike shot out. As soon as the black spike appeared, it emitted a fishy smell. It was tainted with a deadly poison. This change in move was extremely sudden. As far as the black-robed youth was concerned, Su Zimo was dead for sure. Even mid-level fiend demons would not be able to escape death if they were struck by his black spike. Unexpectedly, Su Zimo's expression did not change, as if he had already sensed it. The cicada senses the autumn wind before it moves. With the help of his spirit perception, Su Zimo had long since noticed the danger. The moment the black spike shot out, he immediately changed his move. With a flick of his finger, his steel-like fingernails heavily hit the black spike. Clang. When the two of them collided, the sound of metal clashing could be heard. The black-robed youth's entire body trembled, and he almost lost his grip on the black spike, causing it to fly out of his hand. Pissed. What immense strength! The black-robed youth was alarmed. A single flick of Su Zimo's finger and the power released was almost enough to send the black spike in his hand flying. If this palm landed squarely on his head, it was likely that his head would be smashed into pieces. Crack, crack, crack. The black-robed youth was decisive, and a series of sounds echoed from his body, as though his tendons and bones were being stretched. As demonic chi surged, he transformed into a scorpion the size of a calf in midair. At this point of the battle, the black-robed youth had finally revealed his true form. It was a scorpion that had cultivated into a demon. The scorpion was pitch black from head to toe, as though it was clad in a shiny black armor that looked indestructible and invulnerable. The surface of the armor was densely covered with fur and barbs. It was obvious that the armor was contaminated with poison, making it impossible for anyone to attack it. Of course, the most eye-catching thing was the pair of gigantic pincers on the front of the black scorpion. They were almost a third of its size. The pincers let out clanging sounds as they opened and closed. Even a body of flesh and blood would not be able to withstand this attack. Everything would be cut in half. By reverting to his true form, the black-robed youth's combat strength was already at its peak. Reveal your true form for me to take a look. Otherwise, you won't have the chance later on. The black-robed youth glared at Su Zimo and said coldly. Su Zimo reared his head in laughter and pointed into the distance. There's no need for me to revert to my true form to kill you. Brazen. The black-robed youth was enraged and charged over with his gigantic pitch-black pincers. A stench filled the air. The two pincers waved in midair and sliced down repeatedly. However, Su Zimo's movement technique was agile, and the consecutive attacks of the pincers missed. A series of clanging sounds could be heard one after another. The pincers could be used as a pair of scissors or swung like a battle axe. There were many variations. Although he could not take down Su Zimo after a long time, the black-robed youth was neither discouraged nor anxious. His gaze was cold, as though he was waiting for an opportunity. After Su Zimo dodged another pair of pincers, a dark light flashed in midair. It arrived instantly. A nauseating stench assaulted their nostrils. Some of the demon beasts that were closer felt giddy when they smelled the stench and fell limply to the ground. Gradually, a dark color appeared on their skin. That was the killing move of the scorpion race. Scorpions were filled with poison, and their tails were the most poisonous. That dark light was the incoming scorpion tail of the black-robed youth. The black-robed youth was scheming and had hidden his scorpion tail the entire time. Just now, his attack was merely meant to numb Su Zimo. Right now, he was releasing a fatal blow. However, the black-robed youth could not see anything strange on Su Zimo's face. It was as though the poison of the scorpion tail had no effect on this person. There was no way the black-robed youth would know that Su Zimo cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness and had tsunami blood. Coupled with the bloodline of dragons, the poison gas could not get close to him as long as he circulated his blood chi slightly. Even a stronger poison would not be able to do anything to him, let alone the poison of the scorpion tail. Su Zimo narrowed his gaze and suddenly reached out. He dodged the poison needle on the scorpion tail by a hair's breadth and gripped the base of the tail. The poison needle of the scorpion tail was the sharpest part of the scorpion race. Many scorpion demons would refine their scorpion tails into destiny-dermic weapons. Su Zimo dodged the poison needle and gripped the base of the scorpion tail. With a jerk of his arm, a tremendous amount of power surged into the black-robed youth's body. Instantly, the black-robed youth's strength dissipated and he could not resist for a moment. Su Zimo did not give him a chance to catch his breath at all. Gripping the scorpion tail, he swung his arm and drew a gigantic arc in midair, smashing the black-robed youth's body onto the ground fiercely. Boom! There was a deafening sound. A huge pit was formed on the ground and mud flew everywhere. A series of intermittent tragic cries sounded from the black-robed youth's mouth. He felt as though his body was about to fall apart. His internal organs had been displaced. The black-robed youth coughed out fresh blood from the injuries to his organs and was in so much pain that he almost fainted. Chapter 8:11. Although the black-robed young man had experienced many battles up till this point of his cultivation, he was the young master of Black Sand Ridge after all and was mostly unharmed. At the very least, there was no demon in Black Sand Ridge who was blind enough to provoke him. Furthermore, he had just broken through a couple of years ago and was a mid-level fiend demon. He did have the right to be proud. Even without the protection of the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge, he was still considered as a top figure in the nearby territories. To think that he would end up in such a tragic state in his first battle after becoming a mid-level fiend demon. The most unacceptable thing for him was that the one who defeated him was a low-level fiend demon. How was that possible? The black-robed young man's bones and tendons were fractured from the fall. Although his mind was in a mess, he still could not understand. Even pure-blooded ferocious beasts might not be able to defeat him despite being a major cultivation realm above them. What was the background of this person? Why would a low-level fiend demon release a spirit consciousness attack? Countless questions flashed through the mind of the proud black-robed young man. There must be a secret on him. It's either some shocking treasure or some powerful secret technique. If I can kill this person and snatch his treasures or secret skills, my strength will definitely increase exponentially. Initially, the black-robed young man had thoughts of retreating. However, greed took over in the blink of an eye. Fortune came from danger. No matter what, he was a mid-level fiend demon with combat strength and a superior cultivation realm. There was still a chance for him to turn the tables. If he missed this opportunity, it would be way too difficult to capture the 5 of them in the future when they headed to other territories. At that thought, the black-robed young man took a deep breath and consumed a few spirit herbs. His glabella shone brightly as he channeled his essence spirit and gathered dermic powers continuously. Black Sand Eclipse. The black-robed young man did not even turn back as he hollered with bloodshot eyes. Upon hearing those words, many demon beasts of Black Sand Ridge that were initially fighting Monkey and the others were shocked and retreated one after another with wary expressions, afraid that they would not be able to avoid in time. Su Zimo was about to leap forward and kill the black-robed young man completely when he felt a strong gust of wind beside him and black sand surged towards him. Heaven and earth instantly became dark and lightless. It was as though the blazing sun was truly devoured. Black Sand Eclipse was the famous ultimate skill of the territorial lord of Black Sand Ridge. Not only was every grain of black sand contaminated with the scorpion race's poison, it also contained powerful dermic powers that could grind one's skin and erode one's bones. It was extremely powerful. Su Zimo felt a chill in his heart. He could clearly feel that every grain of black sand that hit his body caused a piercing pain. It wasn't too obvious, but he could still endure it. After breaking through to the nascent soul realm, His body had become even more terrifying. His blood chi surged and even ordinary dermic weapons might not be able to hurt him. However, the eyes were the most fragile and could not withstand the impact of the black sand. Su Zimo closed his eyes subconsciously. The moment he closed his eyes, Su Zimo was shocked again. Violent winds howled, and black sand filled the sky, covering the heavens. He suddenly realized that not only did the black sand have powerful attack power, it could also block his 5 senses. Under the cover of the black sand, even his spiritual sense became somewhat sluggish and blurry. Although he could sense danger, he could not determine its exact location. While Su Zimo was shocked, the black-robed young man was even more shocked. If it was any other mid-level fiend demon, they would not be able to escape death after being enveloped by the black sand and would be reduced to a skeleton within dozens of breaths. He had not expected that Su Zimo would be able to withstand the impact of black sand eclipse with his body alone. The black sand washed Su Zimo's body repeatedly. Although his green robes were riddled with holes, his skin was completely intact. The black-robed young man grit his teeth and had a vicious gaze as he channeled his essence spirit repeatedly to augment his dermic powers. No matter what, he believed that there was no way Su Zimo could break free from the cover of the black sand. At the very least, he was undefeatable. All of a sudden, a beam of light flashed within the black sand. The black-robed young man widened his eyes in disbelief. Within the black sand, Su Zimo had opened an eye. The beam of light originated from his right eye. It shone brighter and more blinding. It was like a blazing sun. Although the black sand was strong and had boundless dermic powers, it could not devour the blazing sun. It was like the eye of a god. It was cold and dignified. The black-robed young man felt his scalp prickle and a chill ran down his spine. Suddenly, he shrieked, "Visual technique!" A blinding beam of light shot out from the black sand and streaked through the void, illuminating the world as though it was daytime. Light had reappeared. Boom! The beam of light tore through the layers of black sand and arrived instantly, striking the black-robed young man viciously, shattering his black armor and penetrating his chest. However, no blood flowed out from the bowl-sized wound and it was charred. Dragon's secret skill, Illumination Eye. Although the black sand was strong, it could no longer block Su Zimo's vision. When Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man's position, he attacked instantly and severely injured the latter. The black sand dispersed. This time round, Su Zimo did not give the black-robed young man any chance to catch his breath. Charging forward, he strode forward and stomped heavily on the back of the black-robed young man's scorpion. Sniff. The black armor on the latter's back shattered instantly. That single stomp had already snapped the black-robed young man's spine. Boom! Leaning forward, Su Zimo punched the black-robed young man's head viciously. The latter's head exploded and red and white matter splattered all over the ground. The black-robed young man was dead. Su Zimo stood up and frowned slightly. Although he killed the black-robed young man with thunderous methods, he had a strange feeling in his heart as though something was amiss. All of a sudden, Su Zimo felt as though he was being spied on. Suddenly, Su Zimo spun around and looked in another direction with a burning gaze. In the depths of the forest far away, a pitch-black scorpion the size of a thumb stood in the air. It shone with a faint light and had a menacing expression with a venomous gaze. The pitch-black scorpion looked exactly the same as the black-robed young man who just now had died. Su Zimo froze for a moment before realization dawned on him. The pitch-black scorpion that shone with a faint light and was only the size of a thumb should be the essence spirit of the black-robed young man. After cultivating to the void reversion realm and becoming a mid-level fiend demon, the essence spirit could break free from the shackles of the physical body. It was fearless of the scorching sun and raging winds and could soar through the world, traversing thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. This was the realm where one's essence spirit could leave the body. Even if a cultivator's physical body was destroyed, they would not be considered dead as long as their essence spirit was alive. If there was a suitable opportunity, the essence spirit of a void reversion realm cultivator could possess the body of others and achieve a different form of rebirth. Of course, no matter who it was, Even if they had boundless dermic powers, they could not possess an unlimited number of bodies. Furthermore, possession was extremely dangerous and had many restrictions. To put it simply, everyone could only possess a single body at most. Even so, it was frightening enough. It was equivalent to having an additional life. The black-robed young man was impressive as well. When he saw that his body could not be saved, he made a prompt decision to abandon his body and escape with his essence spirit. This was the first time Su Zimo truly fought against a mid-level fiend demon. He was not familiar with the other party's methods, and that was why he was careless and allowed the black-robed young man's essence spirit to escape. Chapter 8:12. The black-robed young man glared at Su Zimo deeply with a venomous gaze before turning to leave and vanishing into the depths of the forest. The destruction of his physical body could be considered as a deep grudge. When Su Zimo caught sight of the black-robed young man's gaze, he knew that this was definitely not going to end peacefully. Right now, the simplest and most direct method for Su Zimo was to chase after the black-robed young man and destroy his essence spirit to prevent any future troubles. However, the black-robed young man was a step ahead and the distance between the two of them was widened. Furthermore, this was Black Sand Ridge and Su Zimo was relatively unfamiliar with the environment here. He did not chase for long before he lost track of the black-robed young man. After the essence spirit left the body, it was no longer restrained by the physical body and could travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye at an extremely fast speed. Even if he discovered the black-robed young man's tracks, Su Zimo might not be able to catch up if he did not release Blood Escape. Furthermore, the black-robed young man was the young master of Black Sand Ridge and had an esteemed status. The battle that broke out here must have alerted many fiend demon experts. If he continued chasing, he would most likely be embroiled in a bitter battle and would not be able to extricate himself. After pondering for a moment, Su Zimo gave up on the chase and returned. With this experience, he would not make the same mistake the next time he encountered a mid-level fiend demon. By the time Su Zimo returned, the battle had already ended. Even as a mid-level fiend demon, the black-robed young man nearly died tragically with his physical body destroyed. When the other demons saw that, none of them dared to linger and fled in all directions. In the forest, there were only corpses strewn across the ground. In just a short period of time, more than 100 demon beasts died here. Monkey, Ling Hu and Ching Ching were excited. After entering Thousand Demon Valley, they were hunted down by the demon beasts of Howling Moon Mountain for more than 10 days. They had been pent up for a long time and could finally vent their frustrations now. Even Little Fox could not conceal the joy in her eyes as she caressed the pitch-black umbrella in her hands lovingly. "Awesome, this is awesome." Ling Hu could not stop grinning as he patted his chest and hollered, "Bloody hell! Let's see who dares to hunt us down from now on. No matter how many come, we'll beat them back." The 5 of them smiled at each other. They knew that from this moment onward, they wouldn't flee anymore. The little fox kept the black umbrella in her storage bag and asked, "Young master, where are we going next?" After demonic beasts cultivated their primordial spirits, they would be able to use their dermic powers. They would also be able to use a type of dermic powers to forge a storage pouch. It was extremely convenient. Of course, some fiendish demons chose to hide their weapons on their bodies, in their mouths, or in their sea of consciousness. Ling Hu raised his fist and said loudly, "Of course we're going to find a piece of land and play with it. Overlords are so awe-inspiring, controlling tens of thousands of demons, so awesome." "Not bad." Monkey nodded in agreement. He always had the thought of occupying the mountain and becoming the king. Ching Ching looked at Ling Hu with a smile and asked, "Will there be many female fairies accompanying you after you become a lord?" Yes, Ling Hu was immersed in the illusion. His expression was intoxicated, and he almost drooled. But before he could finish his sentence, he felt a killing intent. His mind jolted, and he came to his senses. "How is that possible?" Ling Hu said righteously, "I, Hubatin, am a true gentleman. All female fairies are fleeting clouds and pink skeletons." Ling Hu licked his lips and closed in beside Ching Ching, smiling fawningly. It's enough for me to have Ching Ching by my side. Get lost. Ching Ching extended her long legs and sent Ling Hu flying. The little fox frowned slightly and whispered, "But we've only just broken through and are only low-level fiend demons. If you want to be a territorial lord, you have to be a mid-level fiend demon at the very least." "What's wrong with that?" Ling Hu ran back from afar. That black scorpion was a mid-level fiend demon, but he was still beaten to a pulp by you, first, leaving behind his skin and escaping with his essence spirit. Ching Ching nodded as well. In terms of strength, first should be able to be a territorial lord. Even if he can't compare to some greater territorial lords, he should be able to be a minor territorial lord. But where are we going to find extra territories? The little fox shook her head. This is Thousand Demon Valley. All the territories here are probably occupied by fiend demons a long time ago. Simple. Monkey's eyes flashed with a scarlet glint as he licked his lips. Let's find a territory and take down their territorial lord together. None of the other demons will dare to resist then. Monkey had a belligerent nature and was restless. Even if no one provoked him, he would think of ways to pick fights with others. It's not good to take over someone else's territory, right? The little fox blinked and asked weakly. Foxy, you haven't been to the demon world before. Ling Hu waved it off. This is a place where the strong preys on the weak and there's no logic to speak of. Whoever's fist is bigger will be able to survive and live well. The little fox was deep in thought. Ever since they entered Thousand Demon Valley, they had not taken the initiative to provoke anyone. However, they were bullied twice in a row because they were weak. Monkey added, if you want to survive in the demon world, it's useless to tolerate and compromise blindly. Everything here has to be fought for with your fists. The little fox nodded. Yes, I'll listen to you guys. Su Zimo did not say anything the entire time, but he already had a plan in mind. Be it him, Monkey, or Ling Hu, it was difficult for them to submit to others. They had to occupy a territory. Ching Ching said in a deep voice, "We've just entered Thousand Demon Valley and aren't familiar with this place. Which territory should we occupy?" There were some considerations involved. If they made the wrong choice and met with a tough opponent, the 5 of them might even lose their lives if they failed to snatch the position of territorial lord. Everyone looked at Su Zimo. Su Zimo said slowly, "Howling Moon Mountain then." Monkey and Ling Hu's eyes lit up. That's right. Ling Hu slapped his head. I nearly forgot about that. Those brats from Howling Moon Mountain chased us through mountains and rivers for more than 10 days. We've got to get back at them. Su Zimo took out the map that the rat gave them. Look at the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. It's the smallest in the vicinity. Based on that, the territorial lord should be weaker. That's it, Monkey agreed as well. Ling Hu was raring to go and clamored, "Let's go. Let's go right now." Su Zimo said in a deep voice, "Don't be hasty. Let's infiltrate Howling Moon Mountain first and cultivate there for a period of time to stabilize our cultivation realms. It's best if we can figure out the actual situation of Howling Moon Mountain before making any plans." Su Zimo was clear that it was not that easy to occupy a territory. There were only 5 of them. If they were to attack forcefully, it would be extremely difficult. Furthermore, Monkey and the others had already refined their destiny dermic weapons. As for his creation, the Qinglian, he had yet to refine it. By the time his cultivation realm stabilized and his dermic powers transformed his essence spirit, physique, and bloodline, his strength would definitely improve once more after he refined the creation, Qinglian. With that, his chances of occupying Howling Moon Mountain would be much higher. Let's go. Let's leave this place first. Su Zimo pondered for a moment and waved his hand. This place was within the boundaries of Black Sand Ridge. The young master of Black Sand Ridge was severely injured and nearly died. It wouldn't be long before experts arrived. Chapter 8:13. For the past month, Howling Moon Mountain did not have much peace. Hundreds of spirit demons were dead and 2 of the 7 protectors were dead. This was a huge matter. It was said that the demons that died were killed by demons that escaped from the ancient battlefield. However, there were only 5 of them and all of them were spirit demons. During this period of time, every single demon in Howling Moon Mountain was searching for the 5 of them. They dug 3 feet into the ground but to no avail. All the demons realized that the 5 of them should have already left. Even if they were hiding in Howling Moon Mountain previously, they would have been scared off by such a huge search. However, no one noticed that on this day, 5 fiend demons in human form strutted into the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. The 5 fiend demons were none other than Su Zimo's group that was at the center of the storm right now. Hee, puny demons of Howling Moon Mountain, who badian am back. Ling Hu grinned. Ching said, the demons of Howling Moon Mountain probably wouldn't have thought that we would dare to return here. Su Zimo smiled. It's useless even if they think about it. They won't be able to recognize us. Some spirit demons appeared in the vicinity. However, when the spirit demons caught sight of Su Zimo's group of 5, they did not reveal any strange expressions and merely avoided them with respectful expressions. The 5 of them passed through the forest and the sounds of cicadas echoed. However, the 5 of them were extremely calm. Back then, they had nowhere to hide because of those inconspicuous cicadas. But now, those cicadas posed no threat to them at all. After Su Zimo's group of 5 cultivated to fiend demons, they could take on human form completely without any traces of demons on them. Although they could take on human form in the Jindan realm as well, there would be demonic chi on them and traces of demons on them as well. For example, Monkey's long fur could not be concealed, Ling Hu had a human body and a tiger's head, and Little Fox's tail would be revealed occasionally. Right now, even if other fiend demons were to come, they would not be able to recognize the 5 of them, let alone those ordinary cicadas. Unless it was an expert whose cultivation realm surpassed theirs, they would not be able to see through their facades. Su Zimo had a head of red hair, and the muscles on his face were wriggling. After some slight adjustments, he looked like a completely different person. Let's go. Let's find a place to settle down and cultivate for a while to stabilize our cultivation. Su Zimo led Monkey and the others deep into the forest and soon disappeared. 1 month later. Late at night, the full moon hung high in the sky. The clear and bright moonlight shone on the surface of the lake like a mirror. The lake water was so clear that one could see the bottom. It was as if there was a divine dragon swimming in the water. A gentle breeze blew past, and the waves sparkled. The divine dragon disappeared, and a silhouette was reflected. On a blue stone beside the lake, there was a crimson-haired man bathing in the moonlight, swallowing the world. Every time the man breathed, there would be the sound of waves coming from his body. Thick demonic chi gushed out of his mouth, forming a divine dragon in midair. It circled around him before being sucked into his body through his nose. This cycle repeated over and over again. The man's aura became more and more terrifying, emitting an endless amount of pressure. The demons in the vicinity had long stayed far away. The chirping of the cicadas had already disappeared. The crimson-haired man was Su Zimo. They had already cultivated for a month after returning to Howling Moon Mountain. During this period of time, Su Zimo's cultivation realm had already stabilized. Dermic powers had also completed the transformation of his essence spirit, bloodline, and body. Right now, Su Zimo was much stronger than he was a month ago. If he encountered the Black Sand Eclipse of the young master of Black Sand Ridge again, he would be able to dispel it easily even without using Illumination Eye. For the past month, Su Zimo had gained a lot. The crimson-haired Een spirit cultivated the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the Great Wilderness. The black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra and was already in a good state. However, there was no movement from the creation Qinglian. Su Zimo was not discouraged either. Legend has it that the creation Qinglian was a being of the immortal world and was incomparably strong. It would be strange if it could be awakened so easily. Su Zimo took out a soul-nourishing blood ginseng and consumed it before continuing to cultivate. In the spirit platform, the black-haired essence spirit sat on the dilapidated and ancient creation Qinglian. A faint halo appeared behind his head, looking divine and flawless. Occasionally, purple electric arcs would flash across his body, making crackling sounds. In the middle of his consciousness, the scarlet-haired Aen's spirit hovered in midair. As time passed by, the scarlet-haired Aen's spirit's body turned rough and eventually, fiery red scales appeared one after another. They resembled metal plates that were scorched red. Those scales were extremely similar to the scales that grew on Su Zimo's body when he transformed into a dragon. However, those scales were formed from spirit consciousness and were attached to the essence spirit. Right then, Su Zimo's heart skipped a beat. The so-called void reversion realm was to cultivate one's essence spirit to the void reversion realm. Once one's essence spirit reaches the void reversion realm, they would be able to leave their bodies and travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. Under normal circumstances, be it Aen spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls, they would not be able to do that. But now, a bold thought flashed through Su Zimo's mind as he sensed the scales on the scarlet-haired Aen spirit. With a single thought, Su Zimo controlled the black-haired essence spirit to leave his consciousness and leave his body. The moment it left his body, the black-haired essence spirit shuddered. Although the temperature outside was normal, it was way too cold for the black-haired essence spirit to withstand. The black-haired essence spirit returned to his consciousness hurriedly and continued cultivating. This time round, Su Zimo controlled the scarlet-haired Aen spirit and left his consciousness carefully. It was fine. The scarlet-haired Aen spirit that was covered in scales did not feel any discomfort when it arrived outside his body. Although Su Zimo was secretly delighted, he did not dare to be careless. 4 Aen spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls. The true threat was the common forces of nature such as exposure to the elements. Those were unavoidable if one wanted to wander the world spiritually. Before he was done with that thought, a gust of cold wind blew. Su Zimo grit his teeth. The scarlet-haired Aen spirit did not return and remained outside his body. Despite the cold wind, the scarlet-haired Aen spirit remained motionless and was not harmed at all under the protection of its scales. Su Zimo was delighted. If he was not wrong, those scales were the spirit consciousness dragon scales that grew from the cultivation of the Aen spirit section. Gradually, Su Zimo's guts grew. The scarlet-haired Aen spirit shuttled through the air at an extremely fast speed, leaving behind streaks of red light. This was what it meant to travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye. Initially, it was something that could only be achieved by a void reversion essence spirit. However, Su Zimo had already achieved it by cultivating the Aen spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness. The scarlet-haired Aen spirit stood in midair and looked at its body on the green stone. It looked at itself. It was a mysterious feeling. It was even more intuitive than the detection of spirit consciousness. Furthermore, the scarlet-haired Aen spirit could soar through the world and its detection range was even further than spirit consciousness. Su Zimo was in high spirits and decided to wander Howling Moon Mountain at night with his scarlet-haired Aen spirit. Once the essence spirit left the body and the consciousness was empty, the physical body was equivalent to a shell without a soul or consciousness. Even if the physical body encountered danger, it would not know how to defend or dodge. Therefore, before the essence spirit left the body, cultivators would hide their bodies in a secret place to prevent their enemies from discovering them. However, Su Zimo was not worried about that at all. Even after the scarlet-haired Aen spirit left, there was still an essence spirit in his consciousness. Chapter 8:14. The scarlet-haired Aen spirit hovered in midair weightlessly. Su Zimo leaped down from the green rock and walked towards a cave not far away. The black-haired essence spirit controlled the body and hid it in the cave temporarily so that it would be less troublesome. The black-haired essence spirit continued to cultivate while the scarlet-haired Aen spirit vanished from the spot in a flash, heading towards the depths of Howling Moon Mountain. Without the restraints of the physical body, the essence spirit was closer to heaven and earth and traversed through the air with fewer obstacles. It was extremely fast and could travel thousands of kilometers in a single breath. In reality, if Su Zimo wanted to explore the territory of Howling Moon Mountain, he would need at least 3 days and nights. However, given the scarlet-haired Aen spirit's speed, he would only need a single night to explore most of Howling Moon Mountain. The shadows of the trees retreated continuously. With the protection of the dragon's scales, the scarlet-haired Een spirit shuttled through the forest wantonly and soared through heaven and earth in an indescribably carefree manner. Referring to the map in his hands, Su Zimo gradually approached the center of Howling Moon Mountain. That was where the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain resided and cultivated. Under normal circumstances, be it Een spirits or essence spirits of nascent souls, they would not be able to lift anything due to their insufficient strength. Even a feather could not be lifted by a Een spirit, let alone a map. However, the scarlet-haired Een spirit had dragon scales and could lift lighter items such as the map of Howling Moon Mountain. Su Zimo lamented internally. He had to admit that the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness was indeed powerful. Even though the black-haired essence spirit cultivated the Purple Thunder Manual and Great Day Rulai Sutra, two top-tier immortal and Buddhist cultivation techniques, it could not allow its mind to wander, let alone lift anything. However, the Een spirit section of the mystic classic of the 12 demon kings of the great wilderness could do it. The Een spirit section came from the Dragon King of Desolate Ocean. In other words, even the dragons of Tianhuang mainland might not be able to compare to Su Zimo in terms of spirit refinement. 2 hours later, Su Zimo was already close to the center of Howling Moon Mountain. In order to prevent others from discovering him, the scarlet-haired Een spirit gradually slowed down. It was clear that the number of fiend demons in the vicinity had increased significantly. However, none of them discovered Su Zimo's whereabouts. Firstly, most of them were in the midst of cultivation, and it was difficult for them to be distracted. Secondly, the scarlet-haired Een spirit was only the size of a thumb and was extremely fast. Even if someone saw it, they would only think that it was an illusion. Thirdly, although Su Zimo had just entered the nascent soul realm, his scarlet-haired Een spirit was much stronger than the primordial spirits of other demons. This way, it would be even harder for the demons to discover Su Zimo. This was also the strength of an astral projection. Even if low-level fiendish demons were spying on them from the side, these fiendish demons would not be able to detect them. Su Zimo continued forward, his speed becoming slower and slower. He could clearly sense that there were 2 fiend demons cultivating not far ahead. The dermic powers around them were extremely strong and far surpassed the other fiend demons. 2 mid-level fiendish demons. Su Zimo stopped and hid himself, not daring to move forward. If he was not wrong, the 2 mid-level fiend demons should be the territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf and Chanri. Both territorial lords were mid-level fiendish demons and could completely astral travel. Su Zimo peeked carefully from afar, afraid that he would alarm the 2 of them. All of a sudden, Black Wolf stood up with a menacing aura. His eyes shone brightly as he howled, "Who's there? How dare you spy on Howling Moon Mountain?" "Not good, I've been discovered." Su Zimo was alarmed. It's no wonder why Black Wolf is the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. He's quite capable indeed. To think that he could sense me even though I'm hiding here from such a distance. Su Zimo was already prepared to retreat when that thought flashed through his mind. Since his tracks were exposed, there was no point in lingering any longer. Instead, he would land himself in a dangerous situation where it would be difficult for him to escape. Right then, a gentle breeze blew and 3 essence spirits that shone faintly flew out from the forest not far away, hovering in midair. Initially, Su Zimo wanted to leave. However, when he saw that, he paused in his actions. To think that there would be other essence spirits spying in the dark. The 3 essence spirits were in the form of bats, and it was clear that they were void reversions for them to be able to roam this far. One of the essence spirits in the middle said eccentrically, "Territorial Lord of Howling Moon Mountain, you're indeed quite capable to be able to discover our tracks. We'll pay you a visit another day." Before his sentence was finished, the 3 essence spirits had already sped into the distance, wanting to escape in time. "Where do you think you're going?" Black Wolf hollered and his glabella shone. A terrifying spirit consciousness fluctuation burst forth and condensed into a ferocious wolf with a murderous aura in midair. This ferocious wolf arrived in front of an essence divinity in an instant. It opened its mouth and swallowed the essence divinity. Black Wolf, the essence spirit could not dodge in time and shrieked tragically before he could even finish his sentence. Su Zimo was secretly speechless and his heart skipped a beat. Black Wolf's attack was a killing technique that targeted the essence spirit and was even stronger and more frightening than spirit consciousness attacks. At the Void Reversion realm, spirit consciousness attacks were merely the most ordinary means of attack. Some mid-level fiend demons or void reversions had the opportunity to cultivate essence spirit secret skills that could allow their spirit consciousness to become even more condensed and their power could be released with terrifying might. Essence spirit secret skills were extremely rare and were secret skills that were not passed down to the major sections. The Yang Spirit section of the Mystic Classic of the 12 Demon Kings of the Great Wilderness contained an essence spirit secret skill of the Dragon King of Desolate Ocean. Unfortunately, many of the words in the Yang Spirit section were obscure and seemed to originate from the ancient language of the dragons themselves. It was the same for the Essence Spirit secret skill. Of course, Su Zimo had not cultivated to that stage and was not qualified to cultivate Essence Spirit secret skills. It was clear that the young master of Black Sand Ridge did not know any Essence Spirit secret skills previously. If the young master of Black Sand Ridge released his Essence Spirit secret skill, Su Zimo might not be able to defend against it even with the fusion of his two Essence Spirits. Although the Bat Essence Spirit was fast, Black Wolf's Essence Spirit secret skill was even faster and devoured the Bat Essence Spirit directly. A mid-level fiend demon's Essence Spirit had left his body and was roaming this place. To think that he would die in the hands of Black Wolf just like that without even a chance to return to his body. Chan Rui attacked. A massive spirit consciousness condensed and two curved sabers appeared in midair, shimmering with a cold glint and as thin as a cicada's wings. It was another Essence Spirit secret skill. The two curved sabers descended on the body of another Essence Spirit that was escaping and twisted. Exclamation point. The Bat Essence Spirit was shattered by the dual sabers and was destroyed on the spot. In the blink of an eye, two Essence Spirits of Void Reversions were dead. Essence Spirits were bound to face immense danger when they left their bodies. Furthermore, they were here to investigate a territorial lord. The two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain attacked cleanly and killed two Essence Spirits. However, the third Bat Essence Spirit seized the opportunity to flee far away. Black Wolf, Chan Rui, don't get cocky. The voice of the Bat Essence Spirit sounded from afar. Howling Moon Mountain is about to be finished. Let's see how long more you guys can be smug for. The voice of the Essence Spirit grew further and further away before vanishing completely. Su Zimo remained on the spot motionlessly. If he attracted the attention of the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain and released some Essence Spirit secret skill on him, his scarlet-haired Een spirit would be severely injured even with the protection of his dragon scales. Chapter 8:15. Although an Essence Spirit could travel thousands of kilometers in the blink of an eye after leaving the body, the moment it was severely injured, it would die without any chance of recovery. In the blink of an eye, two mid-level fiend demons died here. The three mid-level fiend demons must not have expected that the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain would be able to discover their tracks as well. More than that, they did not expect that the two territorial lords would be decisive in killing and possess Essence Spirit secret skills. The moment they attacked, they destroyed two Essence Spirits. Su Zimo was secretly shocked when he witnessed everything. Thankfully, he was here to investigate and knew what was going on. Otherwise, he would have suffered a huge setback if he were to fight against the two territorial lords rashly. Although they were both mid-level fiend demons, the young master of Black Sand Ridge was much weaker than the two territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain. A huge battle ended in the blink of an eye. Black Wolf and Chan Rui seemed to have lost the mood to cultivate. Both of them were speechless with a hint of worry in their eyes. Su Zimo was puzzled. The two of them had clearly obtained a huge victory, but why did it seem like they had lost instead? When he recalled the mid-level fiend demon's words when he escaped, it seemed like things were not as simple as they seemed. Black Wolf said with a grim expression, Cyclone Cave can't wait any longer and sent 3 mid-level fiend demons to spy on us. Thankfully, I discovered their tracks beforehand. If they were to strike first, both of our lives would be in danger. Actually, the territorial lords of Cyclone Cave are still wary of us. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent someone to spy on us, Chan Rui deduced. Black Wolf shook his head. If it's just Cyclone Cave, we might be able to fight them. However, that's not the only danger of Howling Moon Mountain. There's also Black Sand Ridge and Ghastly River, Chan Rui added. That's right, Black Wolf sighed gently. All 3 territories are targeting us. I'm afraid Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to survive this ordeal. What I'm most worried about is the 3 territories joining forces. Chan Rui was silent with a heavy heart. At that point, Su Zimo had already obtained quite a bit of useful information. Seeing that the 2 suzerains were uneasy, he thought that this was a rare opportunity. Thus, he carefully retreated and quietly left the area. Not long after Su Zimo left, Hei Lang suddenly frowned and muttered, "Just now, other than the 3 people from Violent Wind Cave, there seemed to be someone spying nearby." Chan Rui was stunned. Hei Lang said, "That feeling is intermittent. I can't say for sure." "Could it be someone from Black Sand Ridge?" Chan Rui asked. "That's unlikely." Black Wolf shook his head. During this period of time, the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge have been searching for the whereabouts of a mysterious group of people. They shouldn't be here. I've also heard of that matter. It's said that the physical body of the young master of the Black Sand Ridge was destroyed and he nearly died. Chan Rui chuckled and said, "But if it's not Black Sand Ridge, who could it be? Could it be?" Chan Rui suddenly paused and looked at Black Wolf subconsciously. Their gazes met in midair and Chan Rui's heart skipped a beat as she asked sternly, "That person from Ghastly River?" "That should be it," Hei Lang nodded and said, "I'm afraid only that person from the Ghastly River can silently sneak up on us and come and go without a trace. This is truly troublesome," Chan Rui sighed. Su Zimo had left a long time ago and naturally did not know that the 2 territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain had imagined him to be someone else. At that moment, Su Zimo was in midair, shuttling through the clouds and looking down at the territory of Howling Moon Mountain. He checked out the terrain and listened to the sounds around him. All of a sudden, Su Zimo paused in midair and listened attentively for a moment. His lips curled into a fake smile and a strange look flashed through his eyes. If his spirit consciousness were to extend through the ground beneath him, he would be able to clearly sense that the ground was not solid. Instead, it was connected in all directions with countless paths intersecting, forming caves that were filled with demonic chi. Eventually, they gathered at a rather massive palace. The palace was golden and made entirely out of gold, shimmering with a rustic aura. Countless rats were bustling around the palace in a joyous manner. Some of them huffed and puffed as they carried wine. Some of them were slaughtering chickens and cows. Ordinary wild beasts such as chickens and cows naturally had no resistance against rats that had already gained sentience and cultivated into demons. The palace was even livelier. Some of the rats transformed into women and shuttled through the banquet, placing rare fruits and delicacies one after another. At the top of the palace, a chubby man sat in the middle with a golden crown on his head. Although he did not have any demonic chi on him, he had a shifty look and was extremely wretched. Beside the rat-eyed fatty, there were 2 delicate women who were massaging his legs and back in a joyous manner. "Congratulations, Your Majesty! Congratulations, Your Majesty!" Below, a rat demon stood up and raised his cup in congratulations. This rat demon had transformed into a human form. He could stand on his 2 feet and wore clothes like a human, but there was a long tail behind him. This was a Jin Dan realm spirit demon. The rat demon declared loudly, "Your Majesty is the first of the Howling Moon Mountain rat race to cultivate into a fiend demon. The prosperity of our race is just around the corner." "That's right. Your Majesty is extremely talented and managed to cultivate into a fiend demon in less than a month after returning from the ancient battlefield." "Impressive." Some of the rat demons chimed in. "Ha!" The rat-eyed fatty at the top of the palace roared in laughter and his eyes were almost squeezed out. He raised his cup and drank to his heart's content. Everyone, drink to your heart's content. Tisk tih. Rat King, how impressive. At that instant, a mocking voice suddenly appeared beside the rat-eyed man's ears. The voice was neither loud nor soft. Apart from the rat-eyed fatty, no one else heard it in the noisy palace. Who's it? The rat-eyed fatty was shocked. Someone had approached him without him noticing at all? The rat-eyed fatty's glabella shone without batting an eyelid as he released his spirit consciousness towards the source of the voice. His spirit consciousness extended over and a thumb-sized figure stood in a corner behind him. It had shoulder-length scarlet hair and was covered in scales, obscuring its appearance. Pissed! The Rat King gasped and his expression changed in shock. Instantly, he broke out in cold sweat and his wrist trembled, causing more than half of the wine in his cup to spill. Although he did not know who the intruder was, he knew that this was a technique that only mid-level fiend demons could release, the essence spirit projection. Don't make a fuss. Follow me. The scarlet-haired essence spirit's voice was cold and emotionless as it vanished into the darkness in a flash. The rat-eyed fatty lamented internally. The only territorial lords of Howling Moon Mountain who could release their essence spirits were the territorial lords and vice-territorial lords. However, he knew that the essence spirits of the territorial lords and vice-territorial lords were definitely not as such. In other words, the intruder was not a mid-level fiend demon of Howling Moon Mountain. He would most likely be doomed if he were to head over. However, if he did not follow along, that essence spirit alone was enough to kill him. If he implicated his clansmen here, he would not be able to atone for it even with 100 deaths. At that thought, the rat-eyed fatty squeezed out a smile with a bitter expression and pushed away the two women beside him. His heart was stirring as he declared loudly, "Everyone, please continue. I can't handle the alcohol and will make a move first." Chapter 8:16. The Rat King was crestfallen the moment he left the underground cave. The mysterious scarlet-haired essence spirit in front of him was faintly discernible but did not stray too far away. He did not dare to escape either and could only follow behind, sighing with a sorrowful heart. Sigh, to think that I would encounter something as such right after cultivating to become a fiend demon. The heavens are truly jealous of geniuses. Is this mid-level fiend demon from Cyclone Cave or Black Sand Ridge? How unlucky. I'm not a protector of Howling Moon Mountain either. Why is this happening to me? Along the way, the Rat King was extremely uneasy and fearful. After walking for an hour, the scarlet-haired essence spirit in front of him finally stopped. Go on in. The scarlet-haired essence spirit pointed to a cave not far away and said indifferently. The voice sounded familiar to the Rat King. However, at that moment, his heart was filled with fear and he could not be bothered to differentiate. He merely felt that the cave before him was like the mouth of a primordial beast that was waiting for him to deliver himself to its doorstep. Sigh. The Rat King sighed once more and grit his teeth before burrowing into the cave. The cave was not huge and could be seen clearly. Although it was a little dim, it did not affect the Rat King who had cultivated to the level of a fiend demon. There were 5 people in the cave. Although they looked like cultivators, the Rat King could vaguely sense with his sharp sense of smell that the 5 of them before him should be fiend demons in human form. Among the 5 of them, some were lying on the ground with their legs crossed in a lazy manner. Some were sitting on the ground while others stood silently. For some unknown reason, all of them looked at him strangely. The Rat King felt his scalp tingle and was at a loss for what to do. At the front, a scarlet-haired cultivator assumed a lotus position with his eyes closed. In a daze, the muscles on the cultivator's face seemed to twitch and his appearance changed significantly. Why-woo! The Rat King's eyes widened as he stared at this scene in disbelief. The scarlet-haired man before him looked exactly the same as the green-robed man who wreaked havoc in Howling Moon Mountain more than a month ago. Naturally, the 5 people in the cave were Su Zimo's group. You guys? The Rat King immediately recognized Su Zimo's group of 5. He stomped his feet and shouted, "Are you crazy? How dare you come back?" "Why wouldn't I dare? Monkey sneered. With the 5 of us together, we can even venture into a tiger's den. Howling Moon Mountain is nothing. No. The Rat King was sweating profusely as he waved his hands and explained, "Don't think that you can come back for revenge just because you've achieved a breakthrough in your cultivation and become a demon. You have to know that even among the demons, there are different levels. Those who can become territorial lords are all mid-level fiendish demons. His primordial spirit can leave his body and wander around the world. In an instant, he can travel thousands of miles." Suddenly, the Rat King's voice stopped abruptly. He saw this scene. The red-haired primordial spirit that came in with Su Zimo flashed and turned into a beam of red light that entered Su Zimo's glabella. Su Zimo stood up with a faint smile on his face. The Rat King's mouth was wide open, and its eyeballs almost fell out of its sockets. How is that possible? Why or not? The Rat King wanted to ask how Su Zimo's essence spirit could leave his body if he wasn't a low-level fiendish demon. However, at that moment, his mind was in a mess and he could not even speak properly. "Don't be nervous." Su Zimo walked over and patted the Rat King on the shoulder with a gentle smile. "I don't have any ill intentions when I look for you. I can't blame you for the conflict that happened at Howling Moon Mountain. Furthermore, it was all thanks to your map that we were able to escape from Howling Moon Mountain." When he heard that, the Rat King heaved a sigh of relief and sat on the ground. Before he knew it, he was already drenched in sweat. He did not know much about this person before him. However, he knew that this person was someone who could distinguish between gratitude and grudges. Since he said that, he would definitely not kill him. "Brothers, why are you looking for me?" After a while, the Rat King calmed down and took the initiative to ask. Su Zimo replied, "I'm here to ask you about something." Instantly, the Rat King let out a wary expression and scanned Su Zimo and the others before saying hesitantly, "Brothers, forgive me for being blunt. The reason why I saved you guys previously was out of guilt. However, if you guys want to make use of me to harm Howling Moon Mountain, I can't agree to that." Su Zimo said indifferently, "Howling Moon Mountain is filled with danger and is already doomed. There's no need for us to make a move." "What do you mean?" The Rat King blinked. "Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, Ghastly River." Su Zimo spat out the names of the 3 places slowly. Those 3 places were the 3 territories around Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King's expression changed slightly and he remained silent. Su Zimo said, "You're well informed. I'm sure you must know that the 3 territories are plotting against Howling Moon Mountain. If the 3 territories join forces, Howling Moon Mountain will cease to exist." Most of the information was overheard by Su Zimo just now and he could roughly guess the answer with a little deduction. The Rat King sighed gently and smiled bitterly. "There's no need for the 3 territories to join forces. Howling Moon Mountain won't be able to defend against any one of them." "Tell me what you know about the 3 territories," Su Zimo asked. The Rat King said, "Actually, just by looking at the map of the territories, you can tell that the 3 territories are stronger than Howling Moon Mountain." The Rat King was right. The map indicated that Howling Moon Mountain's territory was the smallest and was sandwiched between the 3 territories. The Rat King continued, "Howling Moon Mountain only has 2 mid-level fiend demons, the Territorial Lords and Territorial Lords. However, according to what I know, Cyclone Cave and Black Sand Ridge each have more than 5 mid-level fiend demons. Ghastly River is the most mysterious and no one knows how many mid-level fiend demons they have. However, they are publicly acknowledged as the strongest. That's because the Territorial Lord of Ghastly River is a W." At that point, the Rat King glanced at Su Zimo and the others instinctively. He wasn't shocked or aghast as he had expected. Su Zimo and the other 4 were way too calm, as though they were listening to something extremely ordinary. Are the 5 of them slow to react? The Rat King lamented internally and cleared his throat, emphasizing once more, "WMs are pure-blooded ferocious beasts with a trace of dragon's bloodline in their bodies. Although it's thin, there's a chance for them to cultivate into true dragons." "Oh," the 5 of them replied without changing their expressions. Su Zimo could be considered as half a dragon to begin with and was not worried about existences like WMs at all. Monkey and the others had fought against the Rakshasa race of the primordial 9 races before, and their horizons were naturally not something that ordinary demon beasts could compare to. The Rat King widened his beady eyes and puffed his cheeks. He was inexplicably furious. Little Fox was the first to react and clapped her hands. Wow, pure-blooded ferocious beasts. So strong. That's way too perfunctory. The Rat King's mouth twitched and he could not help but roll his eyes. Chapter 8:17. Actually, when the old territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain was still around, he was extremely strong and could even intimidate Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River, the Rat King continued. However, the old territorial lord encountered a strong enemy when he went out and was severely injured. His body was destroyed and his essence spirit escaped, but he died not long after. The current territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain is the only bloodline of the old territorial lord. The reason why Howling Moon Mountain has not been annexed all these years is because Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River have different intentions and are wary of one another. Su Zimo nodded. The 3 territories were worried that the other party would take advantage of them if they fought against Howling Moon Mountain. That was the reason why they did not make a move. However, if the 3 territories came to a consensus, Howling Moon Mountain would be destroyed instantly. Brothers, why have you guys returned? The Rat King's beady eyes darted around as he probed. Ling Hu raised his chin and declared haughtily, naturally, we're back to take over the mountain and replace it. Who are you trying to fool? The Rat King pouted his lips and sneered internally. In his opinion, the spirit tiger must be spouting nonsense. It was a fool's dream for a few low-level fiend demons like them to think that they could rule over this territory. You don't believe me? Monkey walked over and hugged the Rat King's shoulders with a grin. I do. The Rat King shuddered and replied hurriedly with a smile. Monkey's smile deepened. Since you believe me, come and help us. We're lacking manpower. Seems like you know what's good for you, lad. The Rat King lamented internally but could only grit his teeth and say, well, I'm indebted to the old territorial lord, and the current territorial lord treats me rather well as well. Suddenly, the Rat King had an idea and said, brothers, actually, you guys are not to blame for what happened back then. I can clarify this matter in front of the territorial lord. Brothers, you guys are already fiend demons. Given your capabilities, you might be able to take on the role of protector for Howling Moon Mountain. Alright. Suddenly, Su Zimo spoke, we'll have to trouble you then. Alright. The Rat King patted his chest and said loudly, don't worry, everyone. I will do my best to plead for mercy on your behalf. The feudal lord is very wise and will not pursue the matter of the past. Su Zimo nodded and said, yes, you can go back. The Rat King was slightly taken aback. You're letting me go just like that? He didn't expect things to go so smoothly. After being stunned for a moment, the Rat King reacted quickly and cupped his fists. Brothers, please wait here for the good news. I'll be back as soon as possible. The Rat King walked out of the cave and soon disappeared into the night. Big brother, are we letting him go just like that? Ling Hu scratched his head and muttered, from what I can see, this Housie has a wretched look on his face and doesn't seem too honest. Perhaps he'll turn around and lead a large group of people to surround and annihilate us. Su Zimo said meaningfully, let's see what they choose. 10 days later. In the cave, Su Zimo, who had been meditating, slowly opened his eyes. A divine light flashed in his eyes. Before long, Monkey and Ling Hu woke up from their cultivation as well. The rat's back? Monkey's ears twitched. I think he's the only one. Su Zimo nodded and stood up with a look of relief in his eyes. Although he did not know the attitude of the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, at the very least, the rat did not plot against them behind their backs. Before long, the Rat King entered the cave and rubbed his hands with a smile. Hee, I didn't let you down. Brothers, come with me to meet the territorial lord. All right, Su Zimo agreed right away. Great. The Rat King praised, brother, don't think too much about it. The position of protector is high and the territorial lord wants to meet you guys personally before making a decision. Of course, Su Zimo nodded. Thereafter, Su Zimo's group of 5 followed the Rat King out of the cave and headed for the center of Howling Moon Mountain. With the Rat King leading the way, although Su Zimo's group of 5 looked unfamiliar, they were unobstructed the entire way and arrived before a cave abode in the center of Howling Moon Mountain before long. Ling Hu and Little Fox were curious and looked around along the way. Su Zimo, on the other hand, had a calm expression. He had been here when his essence spirit left his body 10 days ago. Right now, he could only be considered as revisiting the place. Brothers, follow me. The Rat King led the way into the cave abode and Su Zimo's group of 5 followed closely behind. The moment they entered the cave abode, their eyes lit up. The cave abode was rather spacious and the 4 walls were embedded with fist-sized pearls that shone brightly in a grand manner. Tisk, tisk. Ling Hu's eyes lit up and he could not wait to pluck all the night illumination pearls and stuff them in his pockets. Insolent! At this moment, a loud shout was heard. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw a dark-faced man sitting in the middle of the room not far away. He was expressionless as he looked at them. Su Zimo had seen this person before and naturally knew that this was the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, Black Wolf. Below Black Wolf's left sat a woman in a white veil. She sat there quietly without even raising her head. That was the deputy territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain, Chan Rui. Just now, the hollering did not come from either of them. Behind Hei Lang, there was even a burly man standing. His eyes were like copper bells and he was 10 feet tall. Burly and muscular, his exposed arms bulged with bronze muscles that resembled rocks. The burly man spoke once more with a rumbling aura. "Why aren't you greeting the 2 territorial lords?" The Rat King whispered hurriedly, "This is the leader of the protectors of Howling Moon Mountain. His name is Tong Myo and he's the strongest in combat. Brothers, it's best not to offend him." Monkey pouted his lips with a prideful expression. Su Zimo's group of 5 did not move at all. Tong Myo's gaze froze and he was enraged. Just as he was about to explode, Black Wolf waved it off. Tong Myo panted heavily and held it in for the time being. He merely glared at Su Zimo's group of 5 with an unfriendly expression. From the moment they entered the cave abode, Black Wolf had been sizing up Su Zimo's group of 5 with a frightening gaze. He was a mid-level fiend demon and a territorial lord. He exuded a powerful aura and might that ordinary demon beasts could not withstand. Most of them would kneel on the ground and take the initiative to greet him. However, he did not see any fear or cowardice on the faces of the 5 people before him. Even against 2 territorial lords, even against 2 mid-level fiend demons. The most special thing was that the scarlet-haired man in the lead dared to meet his gaze with a calm expression without any bit of uneasiness. Interesting, Black Wolf chuckled internally. Even Chan Rui raised her head and purposely glanced at Su Zimo. "You guys killed 2 of my protectors and yet you dare to come knocking on my door? Aren't you afraid that I'll take you down personally?" A moment later, Black Wolf spoke slowly with a sharp gaze that was filled with killing intent. Before Su Zimo could react, the Rat King was the first to jump and say hurriedly, "Territorial Lord, didn't we agree to let bygones be bygones?" "Why?" Black Wolf's expression was cold as he said coldly, "I'm going back on my words. Can't I do that?" The Rat King was speechless and broke out in sweat. Chapter 8:18. Instantly, the atmosphere in the cave abode turned extremely oppressive. A murderous aura spread. Bronze Bull grinned and twisted his neck, smirking maliciously at Su Zimo and the others. He was waiting for Black Wolf's order to lunge over. Chan Rui did not raise her head and said nothing the entire time. However, unknowingly, 2 scimitars that were as thin as cicadas' wings had appeared in her hands. They were almost transparent and exuded a chilling aura. Black Wolf glared at Su Zimo without saying anything. What surprised him was that, from the beginning to the end, even when he revealed obvious killing intent, this person's expression didn't change at all. That pair of eyes was like the deep sea, without any ripples. "You're not afraid?" Black Wolf raised his brow. When Su Zimo heard that, he merely smiled indifferently. If you wanted to kill us, why did you have to lure us here? Alright. The killing intent between He Lang's brows suddenly dissipated as he nodded his head and revealed a smile. Everything else aside, just the fact that you dared to enter my cave abode means that you are qualified to be a guardian of my Howling Moon Mountain. The Rat King was stunned. Bronze Bull was stunned as well. Su Zimo was the only one with a calm expression, as though he had expected this. I heard about what happened previously as well. Although my fiend demons were in the wrong first, you killed many demons of Howling Moon Mountain and 2 protectors after all, Black Wolf said deeply. You can be a protector of Howling Moon Mountain, but you'll be a sinner. You'll have to do your best in the future. That's for sure. Before Su Zimo could say anything, the Rat King chimed in with a bright smile. Territorial Lord, isn't this a little hasty? Bronze Bull was a little indignant and glanced askance at Su Zimo's group. He could not help but say, this man has clearly just broken through and looks so young. How strong can he be? The position of protector is no small matter. We have to test his skills no matter what. Let me play with you? Monkey's eyes flashed with a scarlet glint when he heard that they were going to fight and stood out immediately. Ever since he became a fiend demon, he had only fought once with the fiend demons of Black Sand Ridge and had yet to enjoy himself. Naturally, he would not miss this rare opportunity. You mean Monkey? Bronze Bull laughed wildly and said, all of you, come at me together. At this moment, Su Zimo suddenly said, actually, I didn't come here to be a protector. He Lang frowned slightly and asked, what do you want to do? Su Zimo's eyes shone brightly as he said slowly, I want to be the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. As soon as he finished speaking, the cave instantly became silent. The Rat King was dumbfounded. His expression was one of shock. Oh my God, is he crazy? A low-level fiendish demon actually came here to provoke a territorial lord? It's over, it's over. I'm going to die because of you. Chan Rui raised her head and looked seriously at Su Zimo for the first time, as if she wanted to see through him. He Lang narrowed his eyes with a ferocious glint. Although he was seated motionlessly, he exuded a dangerous aura that was much more frightening than just now. This time round, he was truly intent to kill. Brazen and ignorant. Bronze Bull's eyes widened as he leaped up and lunged towards Su Zimo, hollering, how dare you behave so atrociously in front of your Grandpa Bull? Against the incoming Bronze Bull, Su Zimo did not budge at all. A figure flashed by beside him. Monkey had already darted out. Monkey raised his fist and his flesh expanded, as though it was transforming into a gigantic seal in midair, smashing it against Bronze Bull's fist viciously. Boom! There was a deafening sound. Bronze Bull grunted dully and was sent flying. Monkey retreated a few steps back as well and flung his arms, rearing his head in laughter. Awesome! Let's do it again. The Rat King's eyes widened and he nearly bit his tongue. Bronze Bull was the leader of the protectors of Howling Moon Mountain and was the strongest. There was no fiend demon that could take him head-on. To think that Monkey would be able to take on Bronze Bull head-on without being disadvantaged despite having just cultivated into a fiend demon. However, the Rat King knew that Monkey was not the strongest in this group. It was the scarlet-haired man. Could this man truly be able to? A thought flashed through the Rat King's mind and it gave him a fright. Thereafter, he rejected that thought and lamented internally, impossible. Absolutely impossible. No matter how strong he is in combat, there's no way he can threaten the territorial lord. Black Wolf did not move and merely glared at Su Zimo. In reality, his spirit consciousness had already spread out to scout the surrounding 50 kilometers. In his opinion, it was impossible for the 5 low-level fiend demons before him to usurp his position as territorial lord. It was a complete joke. However, the strange thing was that there was nothing unusual in the vicinity. There was not even the slightest bit of movement. Black Wolf asked with a cold expression, "Tell me, who sent you guys?" In his opinion, the reason why Su Zimo was so calm was because he definitely had a backup plan. There was a high chance that it was from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave, or Ghastly River. "Black Wolf, you're thinking too much," Su Zimo smiled with a deep gaze, as though he could read Black Wolf's mind. He said leisurely, I'm not from Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave or Ghastly River. There are only the 5 of us. Hei Lang also laughed. He grinned, revealing a row of sharp white teeth. Interesting. You want to take my seat with just the 5 of you? Su Zimo said, actually, you don't have to be hostile towards me. Ha! As though he had heard the greatest joke in the world, Black Wolf laughed thunderously. You came to my territory to provoke me and you're telling me that I don't have to be hostile towards you? Su Zimo nodded and replied naturally, that's because I'm trying to save and help you by becoming the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. What do you mean? Black Wolf retracted his smile and asked expressionlessly, Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River have been coveting Howling Moon Mountain for a long time. If the 3 territories join forces, Howling Moon Mountain will be destroyed instantly. Su Zimo said indifferently, from what I know, Cyclone Cave has been restless recently and sent fiend demons to spy on you a few days ago. You even killed 2 of them. Black Wolf's expression changed and disbelief flashed through the depths of his eyes. Most of the fiend demons of Howling Moon Mountain knew about Black Sand Ridge, Cyclone Cave and Ghastly River. However, he and Chan Rui were the only ones who knew about what happened that night. How did this person know? Instinctively, Black Wolf looked at Chan Rui. In fact, he was even suspicious of Chan Rui in his heart. Chan Rui's gaze was clear as she looked at Black Wolf without dodging and shook her head. Instantly, the doubts in Black Wolf's heart vanished. After a moment of silence, he said, the 3 territories are joining forces to snatch my position as the territorial lord. It's the same for you. What's the difference between the 2 of you? Save me and help me? What a joke. Of course it's different, Su Zimo said. Firstly, I won't harm your life if I become the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Secondly, Howling Moon Mountain will still exist. Black Wolf remained silent. Those 2 points were indeed important. He had a deep grudge with the 3 territories. If the 3 territories were to join forces, he would not be able to escape death and Howling Moon Mountain would cease to exist as well, divided by the 3 territories. As for saving you and helping you, that's even easier to understand, Su Zimo smiled. I'm the territorial lord of Howling Moon Mountain. Naturally, the matter of defending against the 3 territories will be left to me. All you have to do is support me. All right, I understand everything now. There's only one question left. Black Wolf stood up slowly with a torrential ferocity. He glared at Su Zimo and sneered, what rights do you have? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.